This is Showtime Sean Porter.
This is Aerosmith Jr.
Hey everyone, this is Jesse Vargas.
And you're watching True School Sports.
You're watching True School Sports.
And you're watching True School Sports.
Stay tuned.
All right, Brendan Taylor here, True School Sports. I have a special guest on the phone with me, and he comes in the form of as a professional boxing businessman of over 27 years, or 25 years, so about 27, right, Rick? 27 years. 27 years. It says on your website you work with 36 current champions, many former champions, #1 contenders. You've been in the boxing business longer than I've been alive, so it's safe to say that you know a thing or two about the fight game. Rick Glaser, great to have you on True School Sports.
I'm glad to be here. I hope this is a regular thing that we can do because, I like your show, and guess what? I think I can add something to it on a regular basis.
I really appreciate that, man. I get a lot of insight from your Facebook posts, and just a lot of things you say. A lot of things you wind up saying before it happens wind up being true. Like, I find it very fascinating. So you got your ear really in tune with what's going on behind the scenes in boxing. You want to get before we get into what's going on in the fight game right now, you want to give the people just your background in the fight game and just who you've worked with, where you've been, and just all that good stuff.
The website's a little old. I haven't updated in a long time because I've had cancer for the last 2 years, and before that I was, I just didn't upgrade it. But I've actually worked with 41 city world champs. That means when they were champions, #1 contenders when they were #1 contenders. Also world title challengers and notable fighters. I've been, it'll be 28 years in January. I've been boxing full time. I'm an international agent, broker, consultant, and matchmaker. And I fulfill many white-collar roles in boxing. I broker deals on a daily basis. People consult with me. My clients are mostly promoters, TV around the world, TV networks around the world, casinos worldwide, TV production companies that shoot boxing, media agencies like public relations firms, and also regular news agencies that put out news about boxing. And I perform all different functions, brokering deals, making matches, supplying sparring partners, brokering foreign television rights, and also sponsorship deals. And I love it. I work 24/7, 365 days a year. My joke is I sleep in between phone calls. My business is worldwide. It picks up in a little while, about an hour and a half, and I'll go to I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning, sleep till 4:30, get up, see if there's any important calls I have to return. Now, funny thing, in my business, Thursday night and Friday, Thursday late afternoon, Friday night, Thursday night and Friday, all day are my slowest days. Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it's hectic. And the reason why it's slow is because people either in the business are either on their way to the fights, okay, where they're traveling on Thursday, they have a weigh-in on Friday, and then Saturday's the fights, or they're going to the press conference for the fight or whatever. And if they don't have a fight that weekend, they can only play golf on Fridays. So Fridays is so dead. I mean, it's a funny thing. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, I'm getting 400 calls and emails a day.
That's insane.
And then on Thursday, it slows down to 100, and Friday, I don't get 40 calls or any emails. I mean, it's almost like at a standstill. My wife's amazed by that. My wife is joking with me, maybe you need a part-time job just on Fridays. So, just for a serious joke. But it's unbelievable. On Fridays, I won't get calls for hours at a time, but on Mondays, Tuesdays, or Wednesdays, I get a call, in a rapid concession. And it's the weirdest thing, but it's explainable anyways. In other words, I know why it happens. And, just the way the business is. Nobody wants to talk to Rick Glaser where they're trying to shoot golf, or they're trying to play around the golf on a Friday. network. That's how my business works, basically.
Okay. So it's safe to say you have your hand. You wear a lot of different hats in the boxing world.
Yeah, the only thing I don't do is I don't manage fighters. I'm not a manager. I represented fighters as their agent. I've got several players that right now I represent as their agent, but I don't manage fighters. It's too time consuming. And this is what I say. When I'm an agent for a fighter, I take 10% from the fighter, right?
Yeah.
If I was a manager, managers get between 25 and 33 and a third percent, right? I can't be any smarter for 25 to 33 and a third percent than I am for 10%. So why would I take 25 to 33% from a fighter?
Yeah.
I can't be any smarter. So it doesn't make any sense to me. So I let the fighter himself manage, and I represent, currently 4 fighters.
Okay. Can you name them by any chance?
The only one of note right now is Dylan Carmick from Toronto. He just upset highly rated, undefeated Simon Keene, was 15-0 in front of 1,800 people in Quebec City on October the 6th.
Okay.
He went from number 130 with one straight right hand, knocked Simon Keene dead in the 4th round. He went from number 133 in the box rec ratings to number 28 with one punch. And in the meantime, also captured the WBA, NABA North American title, which will give him a rating in the WBA. And he won the WBC Francophone title, which doesn't mean anything in America, but it's for all the French-speaking countries around the world. And as you well know, in Quebec, they speak French. That's the number 1 language. Number 2 is English. Number 3 is Italian.
Yeah.
So basically speaking, in any French-speaking country, would be like Haiti, would be like France, the French-speaking colonies around the world. It means something. It'll get you a rating in the WBC in the top 25 normally. So, the other guys are just up-and-coming guys. The world hasn't heard of yet. Maybe they will never, but in the meantime, they asked me to help them out. So I'm gladly helping them out.
Okay, that's good to know. It says right here on your website, and I know you said earlier that it's old, but I just wanted to ask for confirmation. It says that you work with Don King. Do you still have any working relationship with Don King, or is that thing in the past?
I'll explain that to you. Don King and I formed a relationship on February 18th of 2003. And as I told Don, it was a historic moment in my life because, a world icon like Don King, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I joked with Don about that. But Don and I had a fantastic relationship through 2016. And I ended up getting cancer. And I I didn't leave the business, but I curtailed my business drastically because they actually gave me 6 months to live. And nobody thought I was going to beat it, and I did. And I had curtailed my business activities because they had me on all these meds and all these painkillers and stuff. And I couldn't function and operate a business because I was always so tired. In other words, when I was sleeping, it'd be like 6, 8 hours at a time, and during the day I'd wake up and there'd be 40, 50 calls. I couldn't even return half of them. I was exhausted after 10 or 12 of them. So, and then Don hasn't done a show in 4 years, 4.5, I think it's 4.5 years he hasn't done a show. So the combination, Don is like retired, he just never told anybody.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't done a show. Now, has he done co-promotions, which there's only been elite promoters, is he supplying fighters for a show? Yes, he has many times, but he's not doing shows anymore. His staff at one time was 68 employees. I think it's down to 8 now.
Yeah.
And most of the 8 are, a personal assistant, a driver, personal secretary, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not really so much boxing anymore, but that, Don makes a lot of public appearances around the world.
Yeah.
As Mike Tyson does. Don is like, he's a world icon. I mean, realistically, if you take world icon presently out there that are available for travel
Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan. But he really doesn't do it. Okay.
Donald Trump?
Donald Trump, but he doesn't do it anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he can't now. He's president.
That's true.
Before. So, he's iconic. Like a friend of mine said, it's a Democrat. He may be iconic, but he's moronic too.
That's funny.
That's what I didn't. By the way, I didn't say it. Somebody else.
Yeah, yeah.
So, there's not that many iconic people like that. Pele, the soccer player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Another one. Arthur Ashe, may rest in peace. He was iconic. But it's a funny thing. None of the tennis players since then, as great as some of them were, beyond board, all these tennis players since Arthur Ashe, none of them are iconic. He's the last iconic tennis player.
That's true. I mean, and we have some great tennis players. Like we have Roger Federer, Serena Williams, people like that. But they haven't really transcended like that.
They're not iconic. Arthur Ashe would step off an airplane, and the whole world would salute him and wave to him.
Yeah.
That's class and dignity. I mean, it's a different world today. Okay, people values are so much different today.
That's true.
Nobody values class, style, and substance anymore. I want to tell you something that happened to me not too long ago, last year. Okay.
Go ahead.
And this is way off topic for boxing.
No problem. Speak freely.
I'm going to tell you about my state of mind.
Okay.
I think I'm going to write a book someday.
Okay.
Okay? It has nothing to do with boxing. The name of the book's going to be How One Man Saw the World So Differently.
Okay.
Okay? And I'm going to explain to you why. I had a friend of mine that went to jail, federal prison.
Yeah.
Okay? 12 was sentenced to 17 years, and he actually served 12. He appealed it, and because it was an iffy appeal, in other words, the government may have lost or may not, they wiped out the last 5 years after he was already in there for 8 years. So he had to serve 4 more. They wiped out the last 5 as part of the deal. So he came home, and we were friendly, and a certain family member of mine, without mentioning who this person was, said to me, "Oh my God, I know that guy. He was in jail for years. What are you doing with him?" I says, I told my relative, I said, that guy was what I call a proven commodity in the community.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? I said, he could have ratted on everybody. He ratted on no one. Went to jail and did 12 years standing on his head. Came out, was completely normal. I said, that man is a proven commodity.
That's honor right there.
Well, wait. If I was to commit a crime with you, talking to my relative, what idea would I have that you're a proven commodity and that you're going to keep your mouth shut? You would roll over in a fucking heartbeat, I told my relative. Okay, and he laughed his head off. He said, "Yeah, you're probably right." And so that means that he's a proven commodity. So he's clearly identified for what he is. I says, and that is a proven commodity to me. And that registers more to me than the fact that he was in prison, okay, or that he's a convicted felon, or people have him noted as a bad guy. Okay, now, Brent, you following?
I'm listening.
Okay, well, that's my point. So I look at things completely different than 99% of the people. I think because I never fought before, but I do have fighter mentality. Because survival is man's ultimate instinct. Don't ever forget that. That's boxing in itself right there.
Mate,
and even though I never fought, I can put my mind inside a fighter and think what he's thinking. Okay, I don't be in the ring about a particular fight joking with him, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
But in the meantime, I end up getting them $65,000 for the same fight. Okay, so my point is, you know, you have to know what you're dealing with all the time, and that's an important thing. I always say this: the best negotiator knows one thing: the lay of the land. He understands the need for that in this particular case, boxing, or what the promoters need for that particular fighter is, what that guy will fight for. In other words, the fighter that I'm working with will fight for. But at the same time, is how much the fighter is needed by that promoter. Now, let's just say they need a fighter, and they're looking for like a journeyman fighter over
Yeah, just a takeover fight, a stay busy fight.
what?
Like a journeyman fighter that you'll use as an opponent for like a stay busy fight.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, the guy called. I need a guy. You know, something that's 28. You know, that's guy you can't punch, but he's got a decent chin. Okay. You know, I got a guy. Now, if the guy wants too much money for that fight, I can't bargain, because you can maybe bargain for $2,500 or $5,000, but if the fight doesn't go from 50 to 65, it may go from 20,000 to 22,500. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand.
Where if the guy is a good fighter over there, and the guy says, "Hey, I want a rated guy, or I want a guy with undefeated or 1 loss or 2 losses," okay, now I'm in a great bargaining position. Or if the guy called me up and said, "Hey, can you get me Joe Johnson or Tim Smith or whatever, a particular fighter," okay, then I'm in a good bargaining position too. Okay,
Yeah.
where he wants a particular guy. But the problem is the fighters themselves don't understand. And I'll tell you the part they don't understand. And then we'll get on to all the questions that you have about all the hot subjects in boxing.
Abs.
Here's what the fighters themselves don't understand. I'm creating action for the fighter.
Mm-hmm.
These people call from Germany. They don't know some guy from Skokie, Illinois. They don't know some guy from Wisconsin. They know the top 10 guys in the world because that's their business. But they don't know all these guys. I'm creating action. So they call me, "Hey, Rick, I need a heavyweight, but I need a left-hander, or I need a right-hander. You know, you got 3 or 4 names? Yeah, I'll send you 3 or 4 names." I'm not saying, this is what I write my email to herself. I'm not saying these guys will take the fight, but these guys are available to me. You haven't given me a price yet, okay, an amount yet, okay, and I haven't talked to these gentlemen. But if you want any of these gentlemen, you tell me the price, and I'll give them a call.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. So I'm not in a good bargaining position because they don't know those guys. They don't care. They're interchangeable. But the problem is the fighters don't understand that. "Oh, give me more money. Or give me 35. You know, they offer 20. Give me 35. Stop."
Yeah, they can't. The fighters can't understand that you're not in a position to negotiate from a place of strength. Like you can't dictate terms because.
Call it now. If they ask you for, like I said, they ask you for a rate guy, or they ask you for a specific name, they give you a guy, specific guy, go get him. Then I got strength. You got no strength. They're just interchangeable faces.
Yeah.
So the guy doesn't want to fight for 20 grand. He wants 30. Then the schmuck, the fighter, he's listening to the trainer because the trainer doesn't want to go overseas for 10 days, a week, 10 days, take out of his leg, train the guy for a month or 6 weeks, okay, and then end up with 2,000. He wants to make 3,500 to make it worth his while. And in the meantime, so the fighter jumps up the price. So then you ask the fighter, "Well, is this the trainer?" "Yeah, the trainer's telling me." "Well, then go give the trainer 3,500 and take the fighter fight for 20 grand, because that's what it's worth." It isn't worth 35,000.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's all kinds of things you have to say to fighters, but you've got to have fighter mentality. And one of my strengths is that I can deal with people that are the executives in the business. I can deal with the people that are in the back room. I can deal with the people in the gym, and I can deal with the fighters that are in the ring. And that's what makes me the guy that I am. Now, I understand the sport, I understand the business, and I understand the fighter mentality. There's a huge difference between the sport and the business, and people don't define that. promoters and the matchmakers are in the business. Certain managers are in the business. Let's say Shelley Finkel,
Cameron Duncan.
of course, Cameron Duncan, Al Heyman, they're in the business. But a lot of guys are lawyers, a lot of guys are local businessmen, and they have a fighter or two. They are not in the business, they are in the sport.
Yeah, like Leon Margulies. Would he be an example of that, of Warriors boxing?
Leon is not an example of anything good.
Okay.
Let's put it that way for you. Okay, so anyway, I mean, he just threw a whole grand goalie at the WSS.
Yeah, he threw Payano in there.
Yeah, in Orlando the other day, they only drew 1,300 people paid.
I saw that.
I could have done more than in a blue-collar town like Buffalo in the dead of the winter. It's neurotic. So anyways, but, to just give you an idea, the problem with fighters is 90% of the time, probably 99% of the time in reality, but let's say 90%, they overestimate their value to society.
Yeah.
Okay? I coined the line years ago. And Bob Aarons looked at me and said, sure, yeah, I don't want to say exactly what he said, but he said I was right, but he said a few explanation points along the way. So, in the meantime, what I said was, a fighter's true value to society is what he can draw on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That's the true value, whether the people will pay for him or not. Okay, and how many asses he can put in the seats. So who's the hot commodity right now? Well, the hottest commodities in boxing right now would have to be
Anthony Joshua and Canelo.
Anthony Joshua and Canelo, right? Okay, but that's true value.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question about it. Those two are true value. So that's what it's all about. Everybody says that the Lou DiBellas of the world. Oh, it's about the Benjamins. No. For the promoters, it's about the Benjamins. For the fighters, it's supposed to be about legacy. Okay, and in the process, they make a living. They become successful and wealthy.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to have a legacy. Okay, and that's one of the things that I complain about certain people getting in the Boxing Hall of Fame as fighters. Certain fighters do not belong in the Hall of Fame.
Like who do you think? Give me an example of a fighter you don't think belongs in the Hall of Fame.
I love people that see me as a human being.
Ivan Calderon?
What's that?
You said Ivan Calderon?
No. I didn't vote for Ivan this time, but Ivan's a future Hall of Famer.
Okay.
Ivan's a future Hall of Famer. But here, Ray Mancini. Okay, now, I love him as a human being. Great guy, great for boxing. Was a very exciting fighter, and I cheered for him when I was a kid before I was ever in boxing.
Yeah.
But he's not a Hall of Famer. He's not a Hall of Famer. He doesn't have a great win on his record. If you look at his record, he beat all the guys that he beat were Arturo Frias, club fighter from Mexico, lived in LA. I'm trying to think of some of the
He beat Bobby Chacon, if I'm not mistaken. He beat Bobby Chacon.
Completely shot 1983, 83 or 85 or whatever year that was. 83. He beat Bobby Chacon 83. He couldn't even walk, talk, and chew gum at the same time. Okay, I'm telling you, if you look at his record, and I'm not saying he wasn't a solid world-class fighter. I'm not saying he wasn't deserving world champion. But let's not compare a person that's a world champion, a Hall of Famer. There are many fighters in the Hall of Fame that were never world champions. Lloyd Marshall, Jimmy Bivens, Sam Langford. There was a lot of guys that were never world champions that are in the Hall of Fame. That has nothing to do with it. Okay? What I'm saying to you is that now, how do you put Bobo Mancini in the Hall of Fame And Donald Curry's been on the ballot forever, and he's still not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's pretty tragic because Donald Curry was like the best fighter in boxing for a period, a long period, a good amount of time.
Oh, ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to give you a historical synopsis.
All right, there you go.
He would have went to the Olympics in '80, but Jimmy Carter boycotted the Olympics. We didn't have an Olympic team that year. Oh, then they went. We had an Olympic team, but they didn't go. Okay. In the meantime, he became world welterweight champ, unified world welterweight champion when he beat Milt McCoy, knocked him out in a couple rounds. Okay, and defended his title a bunch of times. Couldn't make the weight anymore. Tried to make the weight. Got beat on the scales with Lloyd Huntington. Was completely drained. Got stopped. Then when he was a completely shot fighter, he won the world junior middleweight title. Okay? And the guy was 403 as an amateur. Okay, and which should have been an Olympic gold medalist. We won world championships in the amateurs, world this, world that, and never went to those because we boycotted. Just the fact that we boycotted the Olympics, the guy should be in the Hall of Fame. The guy was the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world for 3 consecutive years. 83, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay. When the time he won the title until he lost the Huntington, he was #1. When he was shot, couldn't walk, talk, and chew gum at the same time, he won the world junior middleweight title. Now,
special fighter. Special fighter.
He's a real fighter.
Yeah. Do you think Donald Curry is probably like the most underrated fighter of the last like 30 to 40 years, in your opinion?
Donald Curry is a top 10 all-time great welterweight.
Wow.
He is an all-time great welterweight, top 10. Now, do I feel that Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, I really count Sugar Ray Robinson as really a middleweight, but that's beside the point. Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Donald Trump. There's no question about it. See, this is what I have a problem with.
Okay.
Okay. People that are Hall of Fame voters today, I'm a voter in the Hall of Fame. It's almost embarrassing that the people voting know so little. Okay? And it's embarrassing. They look at Curry's 6 losses. No, look, that was at the end of his career when he was shot and couldn't walk and talk anymore. Look at the top of his career. It's just like saying, look, Mike Tyson knocked out Larry Holmes. Don King gave him 2 months to train. Walked up to his store and said, here's $250,000. He got $400,000. He got $4 million to fight Mike Tyson in 2 months. Get ready. Okay, and when he was retired for 3.5 years and hadn't even been in the gym, hadn't laid a glove, and put a glove on, retired. And in the meantime, got knocked out. The best of Larry Holmes, okay, would have played with Mike Tyson, just like Holmes played with Ray Mercer when Holmes was in his 40s.
I agree with you on that one because I've always rated Larry Holmes as, it's an unpopular opinion, but I think Larry Holmes is the best heavyweight ever. But that's unpopular. I know people want to say Ali, but I think Larry Holmes is the best.
I only have Ali rated #4.
Who do you have above Ali?
Joe Louis, Larry Holmes, and Lennox Lewis in that order.
Wow, you have Lennox above Ali as well?
Absolutely.
Wow.
You want to know why?
Yeah, I'd love to know why.
Okay. Lennox Lewis was 2 punches away from having an undefeated career. He had the fight with Oliver Paul stopped way too fast.
Yeah.
He never, way too fast. It was a ridiculous stop. Okay, the Mexican referee screwed him. There's no question about it. By the way, that referee nobody ever let him referee a major fight again. By the way, okay, the second fight when he lost to Rockman, the second fight was vindictive of the 2 fighters' abilities, not the first fight. He didn't train for the first fight. He was doing that movie Ocean's 11. Okay, and in the meantime, and Mike Tyson hit him on the chin. He didn't go nowhere. Okay, so Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis is the most underrated heavyweight of all time, and Mike Tyson is the most overrated heavyweight of all time. There you go.
I think those are fair assessments. I think you pretty much answered my question though, as far as I was gonna ask you next, like you probably believe that Lennox Lewis in his prime, or when him and Riddick Bowe were supposed to fight, you probably think Lennox Lewis was gonna beat Riddick Bowe, correct?
No.
No, you don't think so?
No.
Okay, so we agree on that.
Lennox Lewis knocked him dead in the amateurs, literally knocked him out. But early in his career, in other words, when they were about the time they were supposed to fight, when Lennox knocked out Razor Ruddock, and then Bowe and Rock Newman threw the WBC belt in the garbage can, that right there would have been an even fight. But psychologically, Bowe was damaged from the Olympics and was afraid of the guy.
Yeah.
And because he got knocked out, Rock Newman didn't want to lose his payday, his meal ticket, and once they may get knocked out. But at that time, it would have been an even fight. As they went forward, once Emmanuel got with what's his name?
Lennox Lewis.
Lennox Lewis got with Emmanuel. That Lennox Lewis would have knocked out the best of Riddick Bowe. But at that time, when the WBC belt was the garbage, would have been a 50-50.
Back in '92.
Right.
Yeah. It's funny too, because I still I live in South Florida, and Riddick Bowe actually lives here too, and he's at he's always at one of the local gyms that I go to, and I've interviewed him a bunch of times, and he always says, and you can maybe give me some insight on this. He says that the WBC was they were trying to impose like these, they're trying to rush him to fight Lennox Lewis, and that's why he threw the belt in the garbage. Like, why exactly did he throw the belt in the garbage?
Because they didn't want to fight him. Well, let me explain. There's no rushing.
Yeah.
All these organizations have rules.
Yeah.
If you don't want to abide by the rules, you get your ass stripped, or you vacate. If you flee and you vacate and flee, and he vacated and flee. Okay, I'll give you an example of a rule with that. If you win a purse bid,
Yeah.
okay, it's a eliminator, a sanctioned eliminator, or a world title fight. You go to a purse bid. You've got 90 days to put that fight on for the date of the purse bid. 90 days. Okay, and if you can't put it on within 90 days, you lose your deposit, and it goes back to rebids. Okay, and then that's the way it works. Okay, there's nothing about this thing that's secret. Okay, all these rules are in absolute black and white, and they always have it. But everybody wants to say, "Oh, they're after me, or they don't like me." There's politics involved.
Yeah, and they play they play the victim.
No, everybody's a victim. We're not a victim. Just go to the rules. That's all you gotta do is go to the rules, and you see what they are. And then you can tell the guy's full of BS or not. Okay? The truth of the matter is, okay, that all these things, the rules are followed. Why? Because they're afraid to go to court. Okay, nobody wants to go to court. Nobody wants to get lawyers and pay for lawyers, and the organizations are no different. All those days are over with years ago, but they favored this guy. It's all in black and white. So I will tell you right now that Rick is full of shit.
All right, Rick. Thank you for your insight, man.
Okay.
But I wanted to transition to like what's going on in boxing now. I appreciate the gems you dropped. You gave a lot of great insight into a lot of just things that go on behind the scenes that maybe us fans don't really consider or know a lot about. But I wanted to ask you just about like we'll start with the big heavyweight matchup coming up between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. What do you make of this whole matchup and just where they're both at in their careers right now?
Tyson Fury's a shell of what he was when he fought Klitschko. Okay, he's basically a shot fighter. Okay, now when I say he's a shot fighter, can he walk, talk, and chew gum? Yes, but he doesn't have the reflexes, and he doesn't have the reflexes any longer than he once had. Okay, that's clear and once did. First of all, he just fought two journeyman Palooka fighters, and both guys hung around. That doesn't exactly spell success. I mean, guys who were tailor-made, basically, one guy was a fat little midget, and the other guy was just right there and he hit beat on, and he couldn't get either of them out of there in a timely fashion. One of them went the distance, and one of them he got out of there later.
Yeah.
That's just not what he wants. You cannot be on drugs. Weigh 125 more pounds than you're supposed to. Make a comeback after 2.5 years and be the same fighter. That's a miracle. That doesn't happen. Okay? Now, you can say that about guys that did make successful comebacks like Ray Leonard and stuff. Ray Leonard didn't let his weight blow up. He was always
Yeah, he stayed in the gym.
What's that?
He stayed in the gym. He was an active fighter. He had an active lifestyle.
He had an active lifestyle, correct? No. Okay, he wasn't out and going, being bloated and everything else. You can't do what Tyson Fury did and be successful. Remember one thing. When George Foreman was George Foreman, and then he came back after that 10-year layoff, he was not the same guy physically. He was just had three things. He had a lot more experience, was a lot more relaxed in the ring, okay, because he was in with guys that he was supposed to be able to beat. And his ring experience and his punching power saved him on many occasions. Okay? That isn't the case here. Tyson Fury's not a puncher. He doesn't have George Foreman mental makeup. Okay? That's very rare. To be honest with you, I think Tyson Fury in that fight could get out in front 2, 3 rounds, 4 rounds, or it could be 4-1 after 5 rounds, and you get hit with one punch in the 6th and go out like a light. I mean, I just don't see this as a fight that I'm jumping up and down to see. Okay, I don't have a high opinion of Tyson of Wilder, but Wilder can't punch. He just can't fight a lick. Okay, so he doesn't know how to throw boxing punches. Everything is loopy.
Ugly footwork.
Footwork. I wouldn't even call it. The guy's throwing a punch. It looks like he's stumbling around.
Yeah.
So I mean, realistically, I don't. His footwork. There's no difference in him and a homeless wino. Flat out.
Okay.
Fire away.
Yeah. To counter what you said, I understand what you're saying because in a way, like. It's what's happened with Fury is a little reminiscent of what happened with Riddick Bowe after he became champion. Bowe ballooned up. He liked to eat cake, and he traveled around and did a world tour, and he got fat, and his reflexes slowed down. So I understand what you're saying, but I think
time out. Bowe himself was a world tour to get around again.
It's true.
Okay.
No, but what I'm.
Listen, could he get lucky in the fight? Sure he could. Okay, I mean, it's a heavyweight fight. It's a fair fight because both of them got 10,000 gloves on. They both want being there, but I just don't give them any kind of shot.
So you think Fury has no chance?
No, I don't think he's got no chance, but I just think he's got very, very little, slim. Not none, slim. The other guy's got a human eraser. He can punch, but he can't fight. Tyson Fury could fight at one time. I just think he's a shell of himself. I want to say this to you: if this fight was any real danger, do you think they'd be putting Wilder in them all the Wilder's fought?
No, I don't think. I think if Al Heyman and the powers that be at PBC thought that Wilder could have won this fight, they would avoid it all altogether.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's very good. Now, don't forget, Luis Ortiz is 48 years old. He's 49 now. Okay?
Wait, is that really true? Is that his actual age?
That's his age. He was in the Olympics. I'm sorry. He was an amateur when a coach from Canada and a coach from Europe was over in Cuba with their respective active fighters at the same time. Rigondeaux was 40. Oh, Rigondeaux was now 43. Okay, because they have amateurs the same age, 1 year difference. His amateur is now 48, and the other amateur is 43 now at that time. So in the meantime, that's how old those guys were there. Those guys used to go down there to wear and spar. They used to come from Europe, and they used to come from, what do you call it, because it was warm in Cuba. And they get the amateur sparring, and the amateur coaches would help some of the lesser countries, not the Germans or the Russian countries, but like the lesser countries,
Yeah.
In amateur boxing, help them out. They'd come and they'd spar and they'd live together down there for a month and, all that kind of happy horse shit. So I know how old these guys are. They're lying about the both of them are lying about being each one by 10 years and one by 5.
Wow. Yeah, because I've always wondered, like everybody always says, everybody always throws out Luis Ortiz is 48, he's 49 years old, but you never know. So I'm glad you dropped that on me.
Well, the rumor about how old he was came out from me. I'm the one who told the world. Well, okay, and I explain to people all the time how I know. Well, how do you know? I get to amateur coaches that told me they had fighters sparring with Luis Ortiz and Rigondeaux. So not, by the way, not in the same time period. These are different time periods.
Okay.
They were not in the same time periods. Okay, they were different camps, so they went down there and stuff like that. But it happened. That's the whole story. And I've heard for a long time the guy was a lot older. Let me explain to you why they lie about their age. When they come over here, whether it's on a raft or they come over here through Germany, through Europe, and they sneak over here, nobody's going out paying for a fighter that is 33, 34, 35 years old. Okay? So what they do is when they come over here, they say they're 28. Let's just say, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And all of a sudden, he's really 38 because nobody wants to bankroll a 38-year-old fighter. But a 28-year-old heavyweight, we'll bankroll him. So that's the reason why they lie. Now, in baseball, you understand why they lie in the Dominicans lie in baseball? You understand that theory?
Yeah, I understand that because I follow baseball pretty closely.
Well, okay, I'm a big baseball fan, but they'll lighten everybody. The reason why they lie is because it's called a bell curve. Okay, and what that means is if the guy says he's 15 instead of being 18, they go, oh my God, he's 15. Imagine how great he'll be when he's 18. Imagine how great he's 20. No, he's already 18. So he's almost capped out. So they say he's 15. So all of a sudden he's worth $1 million.
And he's just
rather than 50,000 at 18, then he's just average.
Yeah, and then he's seen as his prodigy, like this young prodigy.
Correct, and when he ain't so young.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the reason why they do it. They do it for different reasons in different sports, obviously. But what does it all equate to? Money. So that's what it all equates to.
That's the bottom line. At the end of the day, that's the bottom line.
It's about the Benjamins. So anyway, what's next? Tell me what's next.
Okay. Transitioning, I wanted to talk about just this whole Manny Pacquiao, Al Heyman deal. What do you make of this, Rick?
You want the facts?
I want the facts. I want the facts.
You want the bare naked truth. Okay. Manny Pacquiao wanted $20 million a fight from Arum. Okay? Arum said, okay, fight Terrence Crawford. He said no. And Arum's not investing $20 million for him to fight hobos. Okay? What people don't understand is this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? When you sign a fighter up,
Yeah.
you gotta have a game plan. And if you're gonna re-sign a fighter, you gotta have a game plan. How is he gonna pay him $20 million if he doesn't fight? He doesn't want to fight Terrence Crawford. Okay, that's the key. So Aaron doesn't have anybody for him. So listen, I'll give you. You want to fight who you want? I'll give you $10 million a fight. He don't want to fight for $10 million. So now he's going to go fight an easier fight for Broner for $20 million. Now, Aaron made $1.4 million on his way out the door. I don't know what Pacquiao's on his way out the door. This is what happened. Aaron which was a bargain. Remember Manny said, "Oh, I didn't get paid. Top Rank stiffing me."
Yeah, I remember that.
No. This is what happened. Aaron had fronted him some other money in advance, but okay, that was already figured in because when the thing was having financial problems, he lent them some money. Okay, and over and above the one, but he still owed him 1.7. Manny was supposed to sign an agreement that Aaron owned the TV rights to his next fight. He knew it. He never signed it. So Aaron withheld payment of the 1.7 million until Manny signed it. Manny refused to sign it. So guess what? They settled at 300,000, and he could leave. Okay, so Aaron gave him 300,000 and he left. Aaron made out 1.4 million in the deal on the way out the door. Okay, he was so deathly afraid of Terrence Crawford. First of all, Freddie Roach and his wife didn't want him to play, and Pacquiao's wife didn't want him to fight Terrence
Crawford. Yeah, okay.
And believe me when I tell you, that's close to a death match at this point in time.
You think so?
Okay, oh my God! Please.
I don't think Terrence Crawford will. Well, I favor Terrence, but I don't think he mops Manny Pacquiao.
He mops the floor with him. First of all, he's a big, tall left-hander himself. He's not that tall, but he's a lot taller than Pacquiao. He's faster at this point, fresher, can throw more punches per round. He's got a great chin, and he's completely dominating. There's not even now the Manny Pacquiao of 2010 that knocked out the Cottos, the
Prime Pacquiao.
Okay, then that guy would be in World War III with Crawford, and I couldn't decide who was going to win. This guy right now, Crawford, is as good as he is, and where Pacquiao is now in depreciated form, post the Marquez knockout, not even a contest. Not even a contest.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you on that one.
Okay. You can disagree with me, but listen, Freddie Roach knew it. That's good enough answer for me.
Okay.
Nobody thought that Manny would stand up prairie. Okay, it would be a public lynching. Now, I'll tell you what would be a great fight. But Manny didn't want to go down to 140, even though he's capable, and fight Jose Ramirez. So that would have been a great fight.
They were trying to make that. I remember after Ramirez beat Amir Imam earlier this year, that was a fight that was being talked about a lot.
I understand that, but Manny didn't want to go down to 140 pounds no matter what. This is before he beat Batista. Okay, he didn't want to go down to 140, but that would have been a great fight. Okay, but Crawford and him would be a complete mismatch. Bro, believe me, it'd be like you remember Gaddy and Mayweather?
You're trying to tell me this would be like Gaddy Mayweather?
Very close.
Oh no.
very close. A shooting gallery. That's what I call it. A shooting gallery. I'm telling you, you wouldn't have a prayer. It's a different. I'm not saying the best of Manny Pacquiao, him and Terrence Crawford in back. Like I said, the old Manny Pacquiao, that would have been World War III.
Yeah, that'd be a fight for the ages.
Yeah, that would have been sensational. That would have been could have been maybe one of the greatest fights ever. This fight here, no contest. Believe me, not even that. And they know this. That's why the guy's fighting Broner. That's why the guy's fighting. They're probably going to end up fighting Mayweather because he's not going to get hurt in those fights, win or lose. He ain't going to get hurt. This guy could have hurt him. The speed, the power, the volume. There's nothing he could have done to overcome all that stuff. And let me tell you one thing about Pacquiao. Pacquiao doesn't get away from punches real well anymore. He did it one time. So he's been in real trouble in that fight. That would have been almost like a public lynching. Okay? And it's a shame, but that's what it would have been. It would have been ugly. Put it away. Keep going.
Okay, well there you go. That's the truth from Rick Glaser. I wanted to talk to you about the DAZN and just like all this money being thrown around and how boxing is kind of moving towards streaming services and things like that. What do you make of like the DAZN and ESPN Plus and things like that in boxing?
Well, I wrote it on Facebook for a long time. Okay, since early last year. Apps are the wave of the future. Okay, in boxing. Okay, and for a lot of reasons. Here's why they're the wave of the future. I'm going to give you all the reasons.
Okay.
Because the satellite providers and the cable providers and the distributor, which was HBO or Showtime, they were taking 50% of the money. So if a show was $80, let's just say it was $79.95, $80, okay, that would return $40 to the promoter. So to give you an example, if it did 750,000 buys, okay, out of 60 million, the promoter ends up with 30 million. Guess what? Doesn't work like that anymore. They're going to be gone.
Yeah.
That's the key right there. Okay, that's number one. Okay, here's number two. Okay? Number two is we are in an age of what they call instant gratification.
Yes.
You press a button. Boom. Okay? Everything's instant gratification. The younger generation wants instant gratification. So that's why the apps are better. That's number two. Number three, okay, they want to do wherever they are, whether they're in a hotel room, they're on the beach, they're at a nightclub, they're at dinner, they're at a wedding, they can watch their goddamn fight. They can turn the sound off. Nobody even know they're watching a fight. Okay? And you can connect it up to your TV, you can watch it on your tablet, you can be anywhere where you want to be, and you can watch the apps. Okay, contrary to what TV is, you got to be sitting in front of a TV. Okay, it's the wave of the future, both because of the youth today going forward. Okay, don't forget one thing about the ESPN app. They got fights on there, and they got ESPN. They got the baseball. They got
soccer.
Baseball games. They got soccer. They have hockey now, like they did. Okay, and they have a whole bunch of things. And if I said this one day and somebody laughed at me, and then they came back to me about 6 weeks later after they got the ESPN app and they agreed with me. I said the greatest value in America is the ESPN app for $4.99 a month. The guy thought it was funny. 6 weeks later, the guy come back to me and said, Rick, you're right. I watch this guy all the time. Soccer, baseball, boxing, this guy's a general sports guy.
For $5, you can't beat it.
$5. Okay? So I called the Grains fan and he laughed at me. 6 weeks later, he told me I'm right. Okay? Now, let me say this to you. Okay? Does it have its detractors? Everything's got its detractors.
Of course.
Okay? But is it the wave of the future? It's the wave of the future.
The future is now.
Eventually, this is what's going to happen eventually. Eventually, NBC is going to have their own app. Fox is going to have their own app. And anything that you see on TV, you're going to be able to watch on your cell phone. Okay? That's just around the corner. Okay? Everything is around the corner for technology. It's all happening right now. The thing with HBO is they never adapted. Now, they hired a moron 3 years ago,
Peter Nelson, I agree with you on that one. Ran him straight into the ground.
Right. What he knows about professional boxing, he can write on a match box cover with a large yellow crayon. I want to explain something to you. I wrote it on Facebook, and people asked me. I predicted their demise ever since Peter Nelson was hired at HBO. When I said earlier this year, this is the year they're going to go out of business, they will not see in 2019. But I was correct. Okay? And here's why. When you're about to go out of business, you don't invest a lot of money in the product, okay, or the way to show it. But I'm going to tell you what I would have done with their measly $12 million budget compared to what all these these other guys are doing with the boxing with their budgets. Okay, it was just hundreds of millions, by the way, a year for DAZN and ESPN. Okay, all of these apps. And Showtime came up with money with $40 million.
It's massive money being thrown around.
What's that?
I'm saying it's massive money being thrown around from all these different networks. It's insane.
Well, you know, as I said about David, Showtime and Fox gave him what I call corporate welfare. That's what that was, corporate welfare. And it's nothing. It's not a black and white issue. It's not a racist situation. It's fact. It was corporate welfare. The guy was on his heels. His business, he lost $550 million.
Blew through it.
I mean, it was all blew through it.
Yeah.
And I had predicted that. I predicted the Schaefer. I called the Schaefer and Oscar breakup 3 months before March, and they didn't break up until June 2nd. It was announced publicly. I had announced it. Everybody thought I was crazy, and it happened. Okay? Now, I want to explain this to you about something that people are not looking at.
Okay.
Okay? And I say this from a respective standpoint that I want everybody to know, but people aren't looking at it from this standpoint. Okay? I believe the apps are the way of the world going forward. I believe we're going to have tougher time making the fights because everybody's going to have their own, all these promoters are having their own outlets. Okay, and these fights are going to be tougher to make. Pay-per-view model's going to die. But I'm going to explain something to you what happened with HBO and what I would have done that would have kept them, that saved them and kept them in business. Okay?
Okay, go ahead.
They were working with a $12 million budget of this year. Last year was 15. The year before was more. Before that, every year was getting cut back. I could have dealt with the $12 million budget. This is what I would have done. One of two things. I would have either switched the boxing from Saturday night on ESPN, HBO, to doing it on a Monday or Tuesday when everybody's home and you don't have any competition. Okay? So, the viewership would have went up drastically on a Monday or Tuesday than it would have Saturday night. Why? Because you got DAZN, you got Showtime, you got ESPN, you got ESPN Plus, you got all these networks doing boxing on a Saturday night. Fox Sports 1, okay, Showtime. Okay, so I would have, if you can't compete dollar-wise, make adjustments. So I would have went on a Monday or Tuesday night with the boxing live, just like they did on a Saturday all those years.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would have got the viewers.
And that
Now, what's that?
Now, I was gonna say that would make a lot of sense to put boxing on nights where there's not as much competition, because I feel like that's one thing boxing has been lacking for a very long time. Because I know, like, back in like the 90s and whatnot, they used to have like Tuesday night fights on USA and things like that, and I think boxing kind of needs those things back if it wants to thrive at a greater level.
ESPN could have survived on $1 million budget and got great ratings if they were done on a Monday or Tuesday night. They couldn't have gotten great ratings on Saturday because they're putting on $1 million fights compared to 10 or 15, $20 million fights. So they wouldn't going to get the ratings on a Saturday night, but they would have got them on a Monday or Tuesday. Especially the fact that there's no weddings on Monday or Tuesday, there's no graduations, there's nothing to compete against on a Monday or a Tuesday that would have conflicted both sports-wise and socially and culturally. Nobody does concerts on a Monday or Tuesday night, do they?
No, they don't.
No. So there's nothing that would have conflicted culturally, socially, or in sports, except Monday Night Football. And Monday Night Football is not what it is any longer like it used to be.
Football in general isn't what it used to be.
Yeah, it's more Sunday Night Football now. It's the big game of the week now.
Yeah.
Okay? So you have a situation that's the first thing I would have done. Okay? Now, the second plan B, what I would have done, when they wanted to get rid of it altogether, okay, I wouldn't have done that either. I would have said, I was Peter Nelson, I would have walked into Richard Plepler's office, and here's the game plan. You want, let's stay in boxing and let's do this. Okay, now, I know they were smart enough to go on a Monday or Tuesday night because Peter Nelson's great then. Okay? Okay. So no one's smart to do that. But let's just say they ruled that out. Okay? Here's why they screwed up. Okay? Because what I would have done with, I would have started an HBO boxing only app. Okay? HBO boxing only app. You literally call it only. Okay? And just put on their fights. Okay? Twice a month. I would have done a regular show like they did. Okay, like they're doing. And I would have bought the rights to a foreign fight once a month. Well, it's like Aaron bought this flyweight fight or mini flyweight fight in Thailand and stuff like that. And I would have done a studio show around it and literally had the announcers announce the fight from New York or LA or everywhere they lived. Okay? And not even send anybody, not even send a crew. Just pick up the feed. Okay? Pay a small rights fee, $50,000, $60,000, you get the fight.
Yeah.
Okay? So I would have had a fight a month originally waiting from the U.S. and a fight a month originating from overseas. You could have done it with, in round figures, the $12 million budget, not a dime over. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Put it on the app and charge $5 a piece for an HBO only boxing app. They use all their shit from their archives. So you got 2 live fights a month, and they got all their archives that they've had over the years, the great fights they had. They can use legendary nights on there. All that kind of stuff would have been on there for $5 a month. They would have gotten probably 1 million subscribers at $5 a piece. For Christ's sakes, ESPN, the first 6 weeks they had the app out, they got 1 million subscribers. Let's just say they built it up over the period of a year. They had 1 million subscribers. Guess what? It's $5 million a month. Hello?
Yeah, you should have. You should have. Peter Nelson should have hired you. You might have been able to save HBO.
Peter Nelson's a fraud. He's a phony. He doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
He did it just because you went to Harvard doesn't mean you deserve a job.
Yeah.
Al Hagen went to Harvard, and he was an economics major, got an MBA in business, and blew up $550 million in 30 months. It doesn't take degrees to do this. Okay. You know, I run a whole business. Okay, I run a whole complete business on $250 a month. Okay, cell phone, internet, international calling, and my domain name and my website cost me a total of $250 a month, $3,000 a year. Nobody can match me dollar for dollar of profits compared to overhead percentage-wise than me. The ratio. I know how to control an overhead. I know how to control a business. I'm a natural-born businessman. These guys don't know. They got a clue. They went to Harvard. They went to this. They went to
Yeah.
that.
They got a piece of paper, but they can't execute.
Went to Harvard. He's a moron. Okay? And dishonest. Okay? What's that got to do with it? Okay? And it's got nothing to do with it at all. Okay? It's character, it's gumption, and the will to succeed. Or stumps education every single time out. It may not work in a quiz show, but it works in real experience on a daily basis.
I agree with you.
That's what I would have done with HBO boxing. If they didn't want to go on a Monday and Tuesday night, I would have got their own. They should have got their own app. An app costs $250,000 to develop. What's $250,000 for a multi-billion-dollar company to try an experiment that could have brought in $60 million a year? It would have cost them $12 million. Plus, they're not going to get rid of that staff. They're going to realign everybody. We're just going to stick them in different departments. All those people.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what so they got to pay them anyway. It's a joke. They don't have a clue. Not a clue. Now, let me ask you a question, Brendan.
Okay.
Would you buy for $5 a month an HBO boxing only app?
Oh, I would have been first in line to get that.
They had a brand name, and they blew it up. 45 years of legacy.
They
Blew it up.
they were the heart of boxing. They were boxing for a long time.
I understand. I mean, come on. Can you imagine Madison Garden saying we're going to bar boxing? Come on. These people are a joke.
Yeah. Now that you bring up the idea of like a HBO boxing only app, I'm surprised. I never thought of that. Like that's such a simple idea. You would think like Peter Nelson and all these brilliant minds.
Peter Nelson. He needs a board of directors. He didn't put 2 pairs of socks on. Come on.
Yeah.
Please, Nelson. Let me explain something to you. If you've never been in business for yourself, how can you be in business for somebody else?
That's common sense.
It doesn't work. Okay? I'm going to tell you something about me, and I'm not bragging, I'm complaining, but you'll understand what I'm saying, too.
Okay, I'm all ears.
In my entire life, I've never taken a salary or an hourly wage from anybody. Okay, post 15 years old. 1 year I worked at detailed cars, and I got $1.35 an hour back in 1974, 73 or so, whatever year that was.
Jeez.
Okay? I've never taken a salary, or I get offered salary jobs over the years all the time. I'm not interested. I'm entrepreneurial. I don't have to have anybody set my wage for me. I can make my own. These kind of guys can't make it on their own. Okay? They need a job. Okay? I don't have a problem. I respect people that work. Somebody recently asked me, is Don King your hero? No, Don King's not my hero. How come? Because if I had a bankroll, like a man of the bankroll like he had, I could be doing the same thing he does. Okay? No question. That's not my hero. You know what my hero is? My hero is the guy that goes to a factory and punches a time clock for 35, 40 years of his life. And on the way out the door, he gets a pension and a fake gold watch, a plated gold watch. That's my hero. I couldn't do that.
Yeah,
You understand what I'm saying?
and you respect it.
That's right. I can't do that, and I don't have the temperament to do it. I don't have the mentality to do it. I respect that man. Okay, I get it. At the same time, okay, Don King offered me a salary job in 2003. I turned it down. And he said, why? Because I said, I like you guys and you like me. Is that correct? Yes. Then I'm not, why would I work for you? Now I'll get treated differently. Now, over the years, Don King called me up and said, Rick, can you do this for me? Would you help me do this? Can you help me out with this? Will you take on this assignment? Would you do this for me? Now, if I work for him, I got a salary. Hey, Rick, do this.
Yeah. The tone changes. The tone of your conversations change.
Of course. And I realize that. Another thing is, here's something key about me. Okay? I only get paid if I deliver. If I tell you what I'm going to do, and I do it, I get paid. If you ask me to do something and I can't do it, and I'm not able to succeed in doing it, I don't get paid. So I got a 100% record of delivery, okay, in the sense that you don't pay me unless I deliver. That's the greatest feeling in the world for me and the other person. Think about that for a moment.
It's strictly performance-based and results-based, so that's the kind of enjoyment you get out of it.
Nobody's giving me $600 a year salary. I don't want one. I fend for myself very nicely. I don't need somebody to gift wrap me a check every week or every month. That isn't me. Okay? Continue. Fire away.
Okay. Recently, you made a post I found very interesting on Facebook where you were talking about Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. First of all, I wanted to ask you, do you think that fight will ever happen? Because I personally don't. And could you...
It's not going to happen. It won't happen for 3 reasons.
Okay.
The ultimate instructions, like I wrote in the article.
Yes.
And then post. Okay. time, it could possibly happen, or possibly time-wise, he'll be a 54-pounder. Spence will be.
Yeah, he'll grow the weight.
Right. That will be the excuse. What he'll do is he'll end up with a soft 54-pound champ. Then he'll ask Earl to move up and win the 54-pound belt. That's how that'll go down. Okay. That happened. Okay. Just like when Pacquiao lost to Jeff Horn. That was an easy. It was like easy pick. Well, there's an example of what we were talking about. Pacquiao. Pacquiao loses to Jeff Horn, and he lost. I don't care what anybody says. I scored the fight for Horn. I know what I saw. Horn won the last 2 out of 3 rounds, carried the fight. In the meantime, he gets blitzed and never wins a second of the fight with Crawford. Okay? So there's your true answer with Pacquiao and Crawford all about today, the comparison of the two of them. Now, I understand styles make fights.
Yeah, and triangle theories don't always work in boxing.
What's that?
Saying like the triangle theories they don't always work in boxing. Like you.
I agree. No. I have to agree with you, but that's basically, you can basically see the difference. I mean, where Horn was fast against Pacquiao, and Horn looked like he was definitely slow against Crawford. That part's not going to change. Okay. And by the way, and coming up with the next, finishing up with the Peter Nelson thing. Okay. I mean, believe me when I tell you, I think somewhere along the line, when they were passing out brains, he thought they said trains, and he asked for a very slow one.
That's funny. Did you ever meet Peter Nelson?
Yes, I have.
Oh my! What was that like?
Years ago, before he was before he worked at HBO, there was nothing. He was a blasé writer. He doesn't know anything about boxing. See, people understand one thing. People can't talk to me about boxing that in the boxing business or in the media unless they know something. Because I can see through the frauds. There's nothing I don't understand about this business. I'm not saying I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm not saying I'm replacing apple pie or an Apple computer. But I have a very good grasp of every single part of this business and the sport, for that matter. And these guys are not going to bullshit me, try to, try to dazzle me with their BS, because I see right through it. Okay? Very simple. And they can ask me questions. If they're asking me questions that are stupid enough, and they're asking me those stupid questions, I got to question their mentality.
Yeah.
Right or wrong? Okay. When they ask you simple questions that they're supposed to have the answer to already. Oh boy. Continue, my friend.
All right. You also made another post that I found interesting. It seems like you rate Shakur Stevenson very, very highly. Just tell me, when you look at Shakur Stevenson, what do you see in him as a fighter, and how soon do you think he'll become? Hello, you can hear me? Rick, you can hear me? Really? I'll call him back. We'll call him back here on True School Sports. Don't you worry.
Glaser, please leave a message at the sound of the tone. Please leave your phone number so I can get back to you promptly.
Okay, we got Rick back on the line. Hello?
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah, my bad, Rick. I don't know what happened, but
Fire away.
what I was asking is, you seem to rate Shakur Stevenson very highly. When you look at him as a fighter, what do you see in his skill set, and how quickly do you think he can become like a world champion?
Okay. What I love about the guy is 3 things. Ring awareness, he's brilliant. And speed, fantastic. He's getting much better every single fight. In the beginning, he looks like 26 pounds of shit in the bag. Now, he looks like a future superstar already. How many fights in the end? 7 or 8?
About 7, 8. No more than 10. He's had less than 10 fights.
Right. So he's improving drastically in between fights. Every fight he gets better. I mean, they put put him in with a tough guy. That he hadn't fought in over a year. When he went to distance with Shelby and Quigg in 2 world title fights, the guy. And this guy walked across the ring and blazed him out. Every time he hit him, he went down like he was shot dead. What people don't realize about when Roy Jones was Roy Jones, and about a guy like this, about Shakur Stevenson, these kind of guys, they generate power with their speed. They're not heavy-handed.
Yes.
Okay? He's not a heavy-handed guy. Roy Jones is not a heavy-handed guy. Okay? Tommy Hearns was a heavy-handed guy and, generated power with his speed. Okay? Now, this guy is not, Duran was heavy-handed. But this guy here is generating power with his speed, as Roy Jones did. This guy is going to be really good. I think at the end of 219, barring any hand injuries or cuts or anything like that, where he's unable to fight for a while or a shoulder injury or something like a rotor cuff, he should be world champ at the end of 2019. He's that good.
Yeah. I like the point you made about comparing him to Roy Jones Jr. because Shakur seems to kind of have that what I call he has natural speed. There's just some guys who have natural speed, and that's why he's able to stun guys with his speed, and his speed is his power.
Right. Well, let me explain something what people don't realize about the science part of the boxing.
Okay.
You got guys like Howard Davis Jr. back in the day. Okay?
Yep.
Who was a great boxer who had tremendous speed. But he never tried to knock you out. He never rolled his right rear foot from the heel to the toe and put all his thrust into a punch. Because he was always looking to get out of the way and use his hand speed and his foot speed instead of rolling into the punches. Okay? Well, in the meantime, Shakur Stevenson had that foot speed, but he's using it to roll into the punches along with the blazing hand speed. Okay, that's the difference. Duran used to thrust himself into every punch. Certain fight Alexis Arguello did. Okay, the great ones do. Okay, and that's how, and the combination of him with the thrust and with the hand speed is creating the power. And this is going to knock people literally dead in that weight class. As long as they get a hold of the weight class. But once he moves up and gets comfortable in 30, he'll say the same thing I happen there. Same thing I happen at 135. I think he's going to be a great one myself.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see it. He's still, he's younger than I'm pretty young myself. Shakur is 21, I'm 23, so he's still gonna mature into he's gonna get his man strength and mature into his body, and it'll be interesting to see how that develops as he moves along in his career.
Yep, exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
A last question.
No, I don't want the last question. I want to keep going.
Oh, you want to keep going? Okay, we'll keep going because I'm really enjoying talking to you.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Okay, who do you think is the most skilled fighter in all of boxing right now?
Well, I would say there's a few fighters that are not household names that are on the way up. A couple of guys over in Europe, a couple of guys in Russia. I would think the most skilled fighters right now, I would say Anui from
Japan.
In Japan with the power, the combination of the speed and the power. Another guy that generates power with speed. That's another one right there. I would say he's one of them. I would clearly say, in my opinion, Lomachenko, and I would clearly say Terrence Crawford. I think Spence is a level down from those two guys, those three guys. I don't know anybody else really that comes to mind off the top of my head.
What about what do you make of Alexander Usyk, the cruiserweight?
You know what? Here's the thing. He's definitely got, of the big guys, he's got tremendous skill of the big guys. But you can't compare big guys to little guys. And it just doesn't work. Okay? If you compare it to other big guys, yes, you got the best skill that there is of all the big guys. No question about it. But it's not like the little guys. The little guys are nimbler on their feet. Okay, they're quicker, they're nimbler on their feet. But for power for the big guys, yes, Usyk would be right up there. No question about it.
Okay. Do you see Usyk? Cause I rate Usyk rather highly myself. Do you think Usyk is someone that could go up to heavyweight and kind of go the Evander Holyfield route and kind of become a champion over there and do well?
No, it'll be if he has a reign as a heavyweight champ, it'll be a different reign than a Holyfield, because Holyfield could punch and threw a lot of punches and was a warrior. This guy is not a warrior. He's a slick boxer. He's a fast boxer. He's nimble on his feet, and he's not a puncher. So the reign would be more or less towards like a Chris Bird type of guy.
Okay.
And it would be where you're not going to say, "Oh, I gotta watch him fight." You know what I'm saying? I mean, Holyfield was like must-watch TV.
Yeah, he was box office.
Right. I don't think Usyk's going to be like that. I can't see that.
Okay.
You know, I just can't. He's more like a Chris Bird type, a Michael Moore type guy, where, he's got great skills and stuff, but he's not going to be that get you out of there one-punch puncher. He's not going to be in World War III throwing 2 punches at 3, 4, 5, 8-punch combinations, left, right, boom, and get hit with counter punches. He's not that type of guy. He's a jab 3 times, hit you with a straight left hand, step around, and start all over again. That type of guy. That doesn't exactly cultivate a great fan interest. Okay? That's just the way it is. Chris Bird, you couldn't sell him. You couldn't sell Michael Nunn. Those kind of guys are just not popular. They people want to see action fighters.
Nah, they aren't. And I love Michael Nunn. Michael Nunn is actually one of my favorite fighters ever.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. One thing I want to ask you about too is it says on your website that you work with Larry. You worked with Larry Holmes, who I believe is the best heavyweight ever.
Right.
What was that like?
I got some great stories about Larry, which I'll tell because they're short and sweet. Some of them are really funny. Some of them not funny ones I won't tell. I worked with Larry from '93 to '97 when he fought in USA and ESPN. I got him the opponents. Either I got him the opponent or I okayed the opponent. It was always one of the two. And he won every fight that I okayed the opponent or got him the opponent. My opinion, second greatest heavyweight of all time. Here's 2 very funny Larry Holmes stories.
Okay.
Very funny. Calls me up at Christmas, I believe it was '97. And he was basically calling it a day. I believe it was '97. And calls me up, and he says, "Hey, Rick, give me your address right here. My guy here, who was his personal assistant, some friend of his, give me your address. I'm going to send you something for Christmas." So in the meantime, I gave my address, and I expected it. I went out for dinner that night with my then girlfriend, and I said to her, "Honey, Larry Holmes called me today. He's going to send me a check for Christmas." She said, "Who is Larry Holmes?" I said, "He's the former heavyweight champ of the world." She didn't know who he was, never heard of him. Well, guess what? That was our last date. If you don't know Larry Holmes, you can't sleep with him. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Okay. You know what I'm saying? That's a prerequisite, but you got to know Larry Holmes, athletic, slower than you know. I'm not asking Nolan Lomachenko is here. Okay, just no legend. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Well, anyways, make a long story short, a couple days later, I get this big envelope in the mail. It's from Larry Holmes Enterprise. I open it up. It's an autographed picture of Larry saying, "Thanks for a job well done, Larry Holmes." No check. So in the meantime, when I told a boxing buddy the story, you should have known better. That cheap bastard. I didn't know. I really thought I was going to get the way he sounded. I was going to get a check from him. But I ended up getting an autographed picture of Larry Holmes. So there you go. That's one. And by the way, I think where they throw it was your last date. Okay. Here's record when the guy was 5'9", and I had arms like tree trunks, real short arms, stumps for arms, and the guy couldn't fight at all. He called me up, you're going to get me killed. Now, this is before Google, this is before the internet, this is 1993. You're trying to get me killed, blah, blah, blah. I said, Larry, okay, don't worry about this guy. The guy used to be a middleweight, okay? He's pathetic, the guy. He goes, he said, okay, I trust you. Larry took one look at the way, and Larry turned to me and says, you couldn't have done better than this?
That's funny.
You couldn't have done better than this when he looked at the guy at the weigh. In other words, the guy, he had arms like steel, a short little arm. He was a little short guy, and he wasn't fat or anything like that. But Larry could see he wasn't much of a fighter. You couldn't have done better than this, though. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, he's probably like, what the hell, Rick? Like, what the hell?
Oh, please. It's just, and then there's one famous Roberto Duran story when I worked with Duran. I put him in with this Sean, what was his name? An Irish guy. Not Fitzgerald. Sean Fitzgerald.
Sean Fitzgerald.
And this was about, what year was this? This was about 93. I put him in with Roberto, I put the Sean Fitzgerald in with Duran. And every single film I was said of Fitzgerald, every film I saw, he was walking forward on every guy, but he was fighting Joe Blow. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, well, he got in with Duran, and he ran for 5 rounds like a thief in the night. Okay? I mean, he was sprinting around the ring, literally. Duran, like maybe won one out of the first 5 rounds, when Duran hit him one time in the 6th to knock him dead. Okay? In the limo on the way back from Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, to what's his name? Duran's yelling and screaming in a limo, calling me El Gordo. I should kill you. You embarrass me on national TV speaking of broken English. So I said to him, I says, Roberto, every time I saw a film when the guy was going for, I had track shoes on, screaming and yelling.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to hear that.
Oh my God! He ran so much it was embarrassing, the guy. And then here's the greatest line in boxing history. Nothing to do with boxing itself. Duran comes to New York for the first time, and he knocks out cold Benny Huerta, who was a solid journeyman fighter that was, he had a known good chin, was a known tough guy. And Duran knocked him out in the first round of Madison Garden. The place went crazy. Well, after the fights were over, Duran's fight was over, everybody comes rushing over to Teddy Brenner, who ran boxing at the Garden, legendary Hall of Fame matchmaker, and says that he doesn't speak any English. Do we have an interpreter? He says he speaks 2 words of English fine. He says cash and whore, and he knows what there's no cash and no whore.
That's right.
That's that one. Okay, so there you go. Anyways, keep going.
Those are some great.
What else? Come on now, keep going. Don't stop.
All right, I won't stop. You also were employed by Roy Jones, so I'm gonna ask you, what was that like? Working with being employed by Roy Jones and working with him side by side.
Love Roy is a human being. Love Roy is a person. Love Roy is a boxer. And he himself was a pleasure to work with the people, except for John Wirt, who worked with me with that Roy Jones Calzaghe show. He was a pleasure. The rest of the crew left a lot to be desired. He had a lot of people around him. If they didn't know Roy personally, they wouldn't have had their jobs. That's not how I conduct myself. I conduct myself on merits and accomplishments and ability. And he hired people on, he's my friend from Pensacola. Guys wanted to show because they were his friends from Pensacola, the fighter. And you're running a show at Madison Square Garden. Okay? The mecca of boxing. The number 1 city in the world for PR. And you're putting fight on some big fat heavyweight from your hometown, and you're fighting all these guys that can't fight from your hometown because you know the guy Mookie and everything else. That's not me. Okay, you don't hire people to work on the show that aren't qualified, and they work with a lot of unqualified people. Okay, and the John who I worked with in that show, kudos to him. I don't have the temperament to work with morons. My problem is in life. You know, I'm sorry, not my problem, but a motto that I have in life is this: I can always reason with an intelligent person. I can't reason with an ignorant one. And I was working with a lot of people that were brain dead and should never have their jobs. That made it very difficult. Do I like Roy? Roy's a great guy. Love him. He's a people person. He's so much more down to earth when you meet him in person than if he's the announcer at HBO. That's not the real Roy Jones. Now, on the other flip side of the thing, when George Foreman was at HBO, that's not the real George Foreman. In person, he's a surly, no-good bastard. Okay? So it goes both ways.
It's all just a front.
Right. That was a front. Right. Hopkins, he's a better person on TV than he is in person. He's not a nice guy either. Okay? But Roy Jones is a super guy in person. The opposite way you would think, after listening to him on TV where he talks about himself in the third person and he's the greatest and everything else. Okay, well, listen, I got a lot of pride too. I think I'm the greatest at what I do. But in the meantime we got to be the same person every day.
Just be consistent.
What's that?
Just be consistent. Be consistent with your personality.
I'm the same person every day. My whole wife says to me, how do you do it? You're the same person every day. But I don't let things bother me. Why would I let things bother me? I'm relatively successful. It's relatively successful in business. I'm relatively successful in life. I'm relatively successful socially. I've had a couple major health issues in the last couple of years that all died in 2013. I had pulmonary infection in my lung and pneumonia together. And then I had the cancer the last 2 years. I've weathered those storms. I should have been dead 9 times. 5 car accidents, 2 incidents, life on the streets, and 2 life in the streets, and 2 incidents of health issues. I should be dead 9 times already. I'm here. Okay?
And I'm happy you are, man, because you still got a lot to share with the boxing world, and I'm happy to be talking to you.
Well, don't stop. Ask me more questions.
All right, I'm gonna ask you more questions. Of all these years you've been working in the boxing world, is there a particular fight that sticks out in your mind that you are just happy to be a part of?
I would say when Paul Spadafora won the World Lightweight Championship from Pio Cardona was by far and away my most exciting moment in my boxing career. Not only because I was his matchmaker, but because he started out his career as unheralded amateur. He was fighting to get money, $400 for 4 rounds in his early fights. And then he moved up to $600 for 6 rounds for 4 rounders and stuff like that when he sold more tickets. And he literally, I helped develop him into a world champion. From the say, I didn't work with him in the first fight. The second fight I did. But that's basically his whole, basically, from the beginning, the first fight, no. But the second fight and I watched him become a world champ right in front of my very eyes. And he was a huge underdog. Do you remember that fight? Do you remember the story? Because you were a young kid at the time.
Yeah, when he won the world title from Israel Cardona, I was only 4 years old, and I didn't start watching boxing until I was 6 or 7.
Let me tell you the funny part of the story, and it goes on to another show. You'll really like this. This is unbelievable. The IBF was under indictment. Paul was Cardona was number 1, and Paul was was the next available leading contender. Shane Mosley gives up the title. Paul's a massive underdog. His promoter, who I worked for, Mike Adrie, won the first bid. And it was on ESPN. We brought it to a casino underdog. Okay? We go on TV that night. Max Kellerman announces to the world that the IBF's corrupt. Spatafora should never be the number one, a mandatory title fight. He's a joke, and everything else is, it's corruption, the IBF. But we have to show you this fight, and it's only going to go 1 and 2 rounds, folks. But I want to apologize to you right now. Well, guess what? He came back after 8 rounds, or after 7 rounds, and was apologizing to the world for what he said, comparing Spatafora to his all-time great Bernal Whitaker. You talk about a guy that did a 360 on national TV. This guy was so embarrassed.
I'd be too.
So now, you got to hear what I did to Max. Okay? Max wasn't there that night. He was at a studio show. I can't remember the fighter's name off the top of my head, but he's fought a fighter, American-Mexican descent in Pittsburgh, and it was on ESPN later on, the following summer, 2000, the year 2000, I believe it was. So, one of his early title defenses. So they bring Max in instead of doing the studio showdown. They literally bring Max in for the fight. So Max is at the weigh-in, and I stood up on a chair. I said, let me have everybody's attention here. This is Max Kellerman right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is the guy, and I described what he did on national TV. They literally chased him into an elevator, and he hit the button, and he beat everybody into the elevator and went up to another floor, away from like 75 people. They were screaming, yelling, of all friends and family, and Spatafora wanted to kill the guy.
Yeah, he was embarrassed.
The next morning, Max grabs me and said, why did you do that to me? So why didn't you go on national TV and proclaim yourself as God, jury and executioner, and say that Paul was above, the IBF was corrupt, and this is what we're going to apologize to you now because it's going to be over in 1 or 2 rounds. We shouldn't even purchase this fight. What would you say that for? Well, who are you judging? I said he was going to win. I know more about boxing than you do, Max. So I told him F you. Okay? But I said F off. Okay? So that's what happened. So luckily, the Spatafora's fans are already drunk. They were already like a party around the fight, even though it was the day of the weigh-in. And they were a little slower reacting to Max, and Max beat him into the elevator. What a shame.
Yeah.
So,
Crying shame. Keep going. Well, you mentioned Paul Spatafora, and there was that infamous sparring session with Floyd Mayweather. Do you think if they fought around that time, Paul Spatafora would have had a chance against Floyd Mayweather?
100%.
Really?
Paul was much smaller. Paul was just as fast. Paul had agility. Paul was Bernal Whitaker and Joe Calzaghe.
And all in one.
All in one. He threw a lot of punches. He could take a punch. He was a complete package. Paul was a mental mess outside of boxing, and it caused his downfall. But you do realize this man didn't lose a fight till he was 38 or 39 years old.
Yeah.
48, 0-1. He lost the fight and ended up to be 49-1-1. He quit coming off. When was the last time a fighter quit coming off a win?
that seldomly happens.
Right. He just wanted to win his last fight and walk away. He knew he didn't have it anymore. That's why he lost the fight that he did. And actually, a lot of people said he won the fight. That when he fought for the interim title, the WBA interim title, a lot of people thought he beat Yohan Perez. Most everybody did. Okay? I mean, most everybody did. So, Paul was a great fighter. Okay, I'm going to give you an example, okay, on how good at lightweight Paul was. Okay? How good he really was. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Paul Spatafora was this generation's version of Bernal Whitaker. Everybody they put in front of him, he beat, and he beat decisively. Okay? He was a great fighter. He had big balls. He got knocked down with Toriano Sosa, who was a bomber. He got knocked down twice. Floyd came back and won the fight. Okay, he could do everything Floyd could do, and he had something that Floyd did not have. You know, at 135 now. I'm not saying Floyd didn't develop it later on. Okay, he had something that Floyd didn't. He knew range. Okay, it was much better. If you look at Floyd's fights at 35, he didn't know range back then. He developed range at 140 and 47 when he fought bigger guys. He needed to develop range because they were bigger and stronger, right? Okay, he didn't have to do that at 135, so he never did. Paul had that range. Paul understood it. Paul understood as Teddy Allen would say, the real estate. Okay, and you know what? Paul and him, they might have fought 5 times. Maybe Paul would have won 3. Maybe Mayweather would have won 3. But believe me when I tell you, Mayweather would have known he was in a fight, win, lose, or draw. It was to me that even. Paul had the ability to beat him, and the style to do it.
It's very interesting to hear you say that because you know, we have like I'm in the YouTube boxing community, and we have a lot of differing opinions and people who are from different areas. And there was one guy, I don't know if you know who he is or if you heard of him, but a guy named Thunderdome Boxing Talk, and a guy named Anthony. I don't know if you know who he is, but you know?
No.
Okay. Well, he's from the Pittsburgh area, and basically everything you're saying, he said the same thing. So it's interesting to hear it from another person who, and with you, you've been around boxing for, you know, decades upon decades, and you got.
Let me tell you a great story about Paul. Okay, Paul would never ask who he was fighting, as far as what his name was he left-handed, right-handed. All Paul would do, didn't ask his record. All Paul wanted to know was 3 things: the date of the fight, give me film on the guy, and how. By the way, how much am I getting?
That's it.
He didn't give a fuck. Because he was that confident. All he did was want to see a film. He didn't care if the guy turned out to be a puncher, if the guy turned out to have 3 hands, the guy who's 7 foot tall. He just give me a film so I can prepare.
Yeah, and then he knew once he got in there how to basically dissect the opponent and make the necessary adjustments.
Here's what the great ones do: Mayweather, Parnell Whitaker, Spadafora, Calzaghe. Early on, they looked like regular fighters. If you remember, after 4 rounds, Zav and Mayweather were 2-2. If you remember, after 4 rounds, Mosley was 2-2 with Floyd. After that, it's all over. The brain power takes over. Whitaker, Calzaghe, Mayweather, and Spadafora. The brain power takes over. I coined a great line about Paul. Why can't people beat him? I called it too much science. They know how to fight. They know the science of the game. They know the real estate. They know how to judge things. They're brilliant people. Everybody underestimates Joe Calzaghe. They say, well, he beat Roy Jones when he was old.
Yeah.
Joe Calzaghe would have beaten the best of Roy Jones. Okay?
I agree with you on that one. I agree with you on that one because like nobody ever gives Joe Calzaghe the credit he deserves. I constantly in these boxing groups or from boxing fans, you'll hear things like, "Oh well, Joe just slaps with his punches and he beat an old Roy." But I think that the style he brought to the ring, you know, the work rate, just the way he was able to fight and the way, you know, like you said, the brain power, the real estate. I just think he would have been. I think any time he would have fought Roy, he just would have been a bad matchup for Roy. He was all wrong for Roy.
Exactly. There's not even a question. Just like Chavez was a bad matchup. Chavez looked like he never fought before when he fought Whitaker.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's his name never started. And Vito Cardona looked like he never had gloves on before when he fought
Spadafora. Yeah.
And so did my fighter Billy Irwin. I was Billy Irwin's promoter. Okay, and he made them guys look like Billy Irwin had a million amateur fights. He was a world class amateur. He was an Olympic for Canada. He had fought a million southpaws. Couldn't understand what's Spatafora? It's special. It's not normal. It's special. That's the big difference right there that people have to realize. It's special. Okay? You look at a Whitaker, you look at because they're not hard punchers. They're brilliant ring technicians, and they got unbelievable great minds out for boxing. It's in them. Okay? Certain fighters, remember this, certain fighters are what they call natural born fighters. Certain fighters are natural born killers. Okay? Certain fighters are natural born boxers. Those guys were born to box. Okay? And in the old days of 25-round fights back in the pioneer days of boxing, those guys would have been throwing as many punches in round 25 as they did in round 1. And the other guys would be all tired out. They had that ability, they had the stamina, they had the mental prowess to do it, and they had the mental winning mentality. That's what it takes. Mayweather too. Okay, but let me tell you, Spatafora was much more special than people think he was. We never saw the best of all. We never did. I'll tell you.
I think that's fair to say, because he doesn't really like. He had a lot of fantastic performances, but I don't think people ultimately got to see him have any of those performances against someone that you would deem of like a A-level like name.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but Danny wouldn't fight him. There was a lot of guys who wouldn't fight him. Danny would never fight him. His manager said absolutely not 3 times. Floyd Mayweather said no twice, once to Aaron or once later on. To fight Spatafora.
So he ducked Paul?
What's that?
Will you say he ducked Paul Spatafora?
I know he did twice. I know. I was in on both deals. Well, the deals that didn't come to happen. The first one was, you can look the date up, April of 2004. He fought Victoriano Sosa.
Remember that?
Spatafora was supposed to fight him on that date. If Spatafora would have fought him, it would have been in Vegas. I can't remember where the fight was anymore. Okay, I can't remember where Aaron put the fight. But in the meantime, Mike Adrian promoted Victoriano Sosa, Spatafora's promoter, and they already had made a deal, and then they already made a deal with Mike, and Mike had made a deal with Spatafora, his own fighter. And then Aaron called up Winkle and said, now he changed his mind, he don't want to fight Spatafora, blah, blah, blah. He said, no, I can't offer him to do even a little more money, blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know is, listen, Mike, I can't do anything for Spatafora, but I'll do something for you. So that other guy, that other lightweight you sent me, the name, the Sosa guy from the Dominican, yeah, I'll put him in with what's his name. So Mike picked up a payday anyways. It wasn't nearly as big, obviously, because Spatafora and Mayweather would have been much bigger than Victoriano Sosa and Mayweather. But in the meantime, he did use Mayweather's, he did use English fighter. That's how that happened. Then years later, after he was already with Heyman, him and this guy they called Tommy Smalls, Tommy Summers. I don't know what his name is, Tommy Smalls, Summers. I don't know which is a street name or what. But in the meantime, he and Mike Adrian, he was the go-between with him and Mike and Spatafora. Mike offered him $20 million to fight Spatafora, but Mike still, this is maybe 2010, right around that. In the meantime, maybe 2009, I don't know what year exactly yet. If I told you exactly, I'd be lying to you, I don't remember. But in the meantime Mayweather was on the phone with him, and Mike says, what about it? I was on the phone, and Mike says, what about a Heyman? He says, no, you deal with Tommy Smalls, I'm dealing with Tommy, I'll notify Al. So they made a deal, and then Mayweather changes his mind again. $20 million was the guarantee, plus a percent home, and if it did over 1 million homes, he was taking $8 a home.
Wait a second. Mayweather turned down a $20 million guarantee to fight Paul Spatafora?
Yep.
Wow.
I don't know what year it was exactly. If I told you, I'd be lying to you. 2009, 10, something like that. blah, blah, blah. We were talking about where we're going to do our pay-per-views. I know it was after 2008. I just don't remember exactly.
Wow.
Turned out $20 million to fight out the metaphor.
So
And Mike had the money.
So
So it wasn't bad.
that says quite a lot about Paul.
I'm sorry?
I'm saying that says quite a lot about Paul Spadafore, the kind of fight, like the level of fighter he must have been for a guy like Floyd Mayweather to turn down that kind of money.
He turned him down twice. Okay? He turned him down twice. He turned down Paul when he was at prime, and then Paul had lost yet, but he was part of his prime anymore. He turned him down again. You know, listen, Floyd was a great fighter, but he was also the great ducker. There's no question about that.
Wait.
His success is a combination of those two things. No, okay? There's no question about it.
I'm glad you said that because I was gonna ask you, like, do you think Floyd Mayweather ducked a lot of fighters? Because I have that belief, and a lot of times when you say that around a lot of people in the boxing world these days, you know, they have Floyd has a lot of gloss over him, so people would just say, oh, well, you're just a hater, or, you know, Floyd's just the best, you know.
He got Paul Williams, Antonio Margarito, a whole bunch of guys.
Casamayor.
I can't say Casamiro.
Okay, well, he ducked Paul.
If he did, I don't remember that.
He ducked, is it fair to say you think at 140 he ducked Miguel Cotto?
Not really.
No? What about...
Not really. They ended up fighting at 47. I don't think that's a dumb job.
Oh?
I just think that, no, that's not a dumb job. He ended up fighting them.
Yeah, because I just remember, like, in like around 2000, like, and around 2005 when he fought Henry Brussels or Bruxelles, whatever his name was. I know that Cotto fight was being discussed a lot around that time, and it just didn't happen. And Henry Brussels was a Cotto sparring partner, so it looked bad to some people.
Henry Bruxelles was a guy who should have won for the world title and could have won it, but not against Mayweather.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with that theory.
Okay. What about a prime Manny Pacquiao?
I think he made of a prime Manny Pacquiao. I don't think there's any question about that. I think that's more proven than anything else.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, because I thought I was in my teens when that happened, so I was following that very closely, and I remember I always thought Floyd ducked prime Pacquiao, and I was very upset that he never fought him around like 2009, 2010, 2011, like those years. That's when I really wanted to see the fight.
Yeah, well, he definitely ducked him. He definitely ducked Paul Williams. I mean, like I said, Casamiro, I don't remember they ducked. I'm not saying he didn't duck him, but I don't believe he ducked Cotto. You know, I don't believe he eventually fought Cotto. And, you know, it was a good fight. It was a fun fight to watch.
Yeah. What about like what's his name? Winky Wright.
Well, I don't think that's a fair comparison because he was 54 and Floyd's really top weight was 47. I think he fought Mayweather, he was only at 52 or something like that, but he wasn't a 40. You know, he was a guy who went from 30 to 47. I can't say he got the 54 pounds.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But so what do you think? Like Floyd.
Yeah, if I had Floyd, I wouldn't have fought Winky just because he was 54.
Yeah.
You know, what did, let me ask you a question. What did Winky bring to the table?
From a business standpoint, really nothing. He wasn't like a big draw like that. He was. Most people saw Winky Wright as a boring fighter.
Put it this way to you. If you would have walked down Fifth Avenue, New York City, or Park Avenue, and you would ask who people Winky Wright was, they would say, is he the backup catcher for the New York Yankees? Come on.
Yeah.
Winky Wright. I mean, and by the way, Winky was a great fighter, don't get me wrong.
Fantastic fighter.
He brought nothing to the table. Zero. No, and I call it no commercial value.
That's true. But don't you remember? Like around 2005, I believe they had a date for November. Like I think it was November 11th or the 12th, and it fell apart. I don't know if you remember that between Winky Wright and Floyd. Yeah, it was a thing. Like you can go look it up. They
It never fell apart. It never existed. Trust me. Something to fall apart really had existed. I'm sure Floyd hadn't signed the contract. It didn't exist. It existed in everybody's mind only but Floyd's.
Okay. No, because I just remember reading. I remember reading a bunch of articles on ESPN about it, like back then.
Yeah, probably not. You know, you probably didn't exist because just like the Duke Spada Four fights didn't exist, but he never signed the contract. He said no, but I know he talked to twice, and there's not even a question about that.
Yeah.
So continue. Fire away.
I'll keep firing away. I'm really enjoying this, Rick. Are there any fighters right now in the fight game that you would say are like underrated, or just guys you watch them fight and you don't think that they get the credit that they deserve?
Not really.
No.
Not really. No, not really.
Okay.
I think today's fighter, years ago, there was a lot more fighters like that because there was more fighters around Americans, number one, fighting, number one. And number two is the fact that there were some unpolished gems out there working their way up, but it doesn't happen like that today. Today they come out of the amateurs, they're good, people pick them up, blah, 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 but it doesn't look like that anymore. So that's more few and far between today.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is I'm one of my I would say one of the people I'm closest to in the boxing world is Stacy McKinley, the trainer, and
What about him?
Stacy McKinley. He's someone that I'm very cool with. I'm very close to him. We're good friends.
And I have an excellent relationship with Stacy myself.
Yeah, Stacy's amazing.
Quality human being. He's an excellent trainer. I can honestly say there's nothing negative about Stacy.
Absolutely not. And I've had the honor to interview Stacy plenty of times on my channel. But he says one thing he's always told me that I like is he says that the fighters of today, they're what he calls internet fighters. They do a lot more talking than they do fighting, and these days fighters are a lot more watered down. They're not as quality as they used to be.
I use the same term, but I call it social media. Social media fighters as well. I call them the same thing. Absolutely, not even a question. Sad but true.
Yeah, why do you think that is? Why do you feel like the amount of quality fighters has decreased in boxing over the years?
I missed the question. I'll apologize. What was that?
Why do you believe that the amount of quality fighters has decreased in boxing over the years?
Because it's a tougher way to make a living than going into football where you give a big signing bonus and basketball. And all these heavyweights and bigger guys are all playing these other sports. And they're in jail. They're on street corners selling crack. They're already dead. They've already been killed. A lot of reasons. It's just the quality of people are not good today. In general. It's just the problem of society.
Yeah,
You feel any different than I do?
I don't feel any different. I feel like a big reason why there aren't as many quality fighters is just because there is not as many like men in general, and I'm speaking as someone who's part of the younger generation, and I spend a lot of time around the younger generation. Men in general have been very feminized and demasculated, so to go into something as barbaric as boxing is so beyond far-fetched.
Right. That's good too. I'll agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of it too is like a lot of young boys these days are being raised by their just only their moms, and they don't really have any sort of masculinity to them, so they're not gonna go to a boxing gym in most cases.
Absolutely. I think you're 100% right. I think as families have developed and that divorce is at an all-time high, where it's mostly getting raised by the mother today, I have to agree with you 100%. I think that's a very valid point.
Yeah. So I mean, it's an interesting time in boxing. That's why, I've heard trainers say a lot of times, like you got guys. Well, I interviewed Don Turner. Do you know Don Turner? I'm sure you met him at some point.
Super well. He's a friend, just like Stacy's a friend of mine, as is Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. And Don Turner is a great old school boxing guy. Tremendous cut man, tremendous corner man, excellent trainer. I got nothing negative to say about Don Turner. But just like Stacy, quality people, always on time, punctual. Just nothing negative about the guy at all. Nor do I have anything negative to say about Stacy.
Yeah.
Another great guy.
Well, I love Don Turner. I would definitely say one of my, and I've had a chance to do a lot of interviews over the last couple of years with people in boxing, and I would say that one of my best ones was with Don Turner, and something that he said in our interview was that, you got guys that are champions today who can't fight. Do you agree with that?
100%.
I mean, you mentioned Wilder earlier.
He has no idea how to fight. Now, can he punch? Yeah, but he doesn't know how to fight. Okay? I'm going to give you an example. Okay?
Okay.
An exact example about guys that can fight and can't fight compared to now compared to then. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to take a simple guy like a Larry Holmes.
Okay.
He didn't win the heavyweight championship of the world till his 29th fight. Back then. Okay?
Yeah.
He pulled in obscurity from 72 to 78 for 6 years. Okay?
Yeah.
Can you imagine Larry Holmes with that ability doing that today?
Oh, he'd be all over Twitter and Instagram, and he'd be hailed as the greatest thing since sliced bread.
He would have been champ in 3 years.
Yeah.
Not 6.
You could have fast-tracked him easily.
He would have been champ after 14 fights, 15 fights, not after not fight number 29. They don't know how to fight today. Now, here's part of the reason why they don't know how to fight. I'll give you the reason why. Because there's no teachers around. There's very few great trainers around today. In other words, we mentioned some great trainers just now, and there's Robert Garcia. There's a couple other ones. There's about 5 or 6 really good trainers today. The rest of them are horrible. Now that's number one. Here's the problem, number 2. The fighters, after they fight, they don't get into the gym until they have their signed next contract for their next bout. Years ago, the guy fought on a Thursday night, and he was back in the gym on Monday.
Yeah, so they were able to maintain their sharpness on a fight-by-fight basis.
There was an article, there was a picture yesterday on one of the websites of Kevin Farmer, or maybe it was on Facebook, already back in the gym, and he just fought Saturday, knocked the guy out in a few rounds, and now he's getting, he doesn't even have his next contract, but he's already in the gym getting ready. That's old school. That's the way it's supposed to be. Earl Spence hasn't been in the gym in months. Okay? That's the problem with today's fighters. They're not learning their craft. They're not honing their craft. They're just going out there to lose weight and get in shape and go fight.
And get a check, and that's it.
There's no passion. Can you imagine, just to give you an example, here's an example. Roberto Duran is a lightweight. Did you ever see him fight as a lightweight? No?
Yeah, I've seen plenty of his fights at lightweight.
Tenacious. Can punch a hole in the wall. On top of you like a cheap suit. All over you. Right?
Yeah.
Who fights like that today? Nobody.
Very few guys fight like that today. I mean, I think to find guys like that, you'd have to go down to the lower weight classes.
Well, that's exactly right.
Maybe a guy like Romo Gonzalez.
Okay, but there's very few guys.
Yeah.
That's my exact point. There's very few guys. It's an error of bad character, and that reflects in the quality of the fighters as human beings, and it also affects the quality as fighters as they are. That's why I always say, if you ones and downs. You know what I said?
Yeah.
Not even, please, don't even mention that fight. What a joke. Okay, what a Paul Lynching. Stop already. Okay? Okay, I tell people it's ridiculous. These guys don't know how to fight. It's simple. Just to give you an era to era.
Okay.
10 years later, okay? Boom Boom Mancini's in the Hall of Fame. Duran's in the Hall of Fame. Duran left the lightweight division in like 76. Boom came along 6 years later as in 81, 5 years later. Could you imagine what Boom Boom would have done? I mean, Duran would have done to Boom Boom?
He would have pieced up Boom Boom, probably, more than likely.
I would have been over if you had a loose seat and you pulled it under your head and you looked down to do so, you might have missed the fight. Okay, people don't understand it. The era these people came out of. I'm going to give you a current example right now. Okay, so you're 23 years old and you graduated from high school 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That means 10 years ago you were 13 years old.
Okay.
What city did you grow up in?
I grew up in Dania, Florida.
Dania, Florida. Did you, when you went to school, did kids have schoolyard fights?
Yeah, it happened, but it happened back then. Yeah, it happened in school, but like not often.
Once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Well, when I went to school, and when I was your same age, 45 years ago, 46 years ago, we fought every day. Every goddamn day we were fighting. Okay? Winning, losing, getting the shit kicked out of us, kicking the shit out of other people. Every day you fought.
Yeah.
Okay, you pick up a guy, then he got his older brother after the next day. He bring his older brother to school, who was already in junior high school. You get it?
I understand.
Today, they look at you, they shoot your ass, or they stab you.
That's it. Kids don't want to fight.
That's why we can't fight. That's why we're a bad era of fighters. They don't know how to fight.
They don't want to fight.
It's not natural. Does that all make sense to you?
Nah, it makes perfect sense. What I will say though is, growing up, like I noticed when I was in elementary school, there was a lot more fights in my elementary and middle school days than there were in my high school days. So I noticed as I got older, the amount of fights actually decreased as I went up in grades, which is
because society changed.
Yeah, because society was changing.
Right, society was changing just like it did. Listen, let me run this by you. You don't live in the kind of city I live in where hockey's prevalent. Okay, even though you guys got a hockey.
We have the Panthers. Shout out to the Panthers.
But kids aren't playing street hockey.
No, not in my city. The only kids that play hockey in South Florida are they live in like Weston and western part of this area.
Correct. Parkland, Westland. Oh, I get it.
Sunrise, rich areas basically.
Okay, you ready? Here it goes. Okay, this is one that you'll really like.
Okay.
Okay, so, football. It's street football, touch football in the street. How many games do you see now?
Very few. None, almost.
Every single day, we play street hockey, baseball in the street, or football in the street. Every single day, including 0 degrees weather or rain. Today, they don't play it all. They go home and play on their computers. They get a 2-liter of Pepsi, some Doritos, or a couple tacos at Taco Bell, and they go home and they play on their computer until their mother calls them for dinner. Then they say, "Mom, I'm almost finished. I'll be there in a little while." Well, how come you didn't eat your food? Well, I had this whole big thing of Doritos and a whole 2-liter of Pepsi. They can't finish their meal. Then they go back and play on their computer, and then their mother says, "Go to bed. Turn off that goddamn thing and go to bed." Society's changing, and it's affected boxing for the negative.
Yeah.
Here's one for you. How come boxers don't come out of jail anymore and become world champions like they used to? Sonny Liston, Bernard Hopkins, all these guys came out of jail and became champs. There was a whole bunch. Ron Lyle became a top guy, was in jail, and there was a whole bunch of them. I mean, Ron Lyle, I mean, he fought for the fact that he's the heavyweight champ today. He's the heavyweight champ for 10 years. Okay, well, back then he fought Ali and Foreman. Okay, so, I mean, he's fighting Ali's and Foreman's in the world, so he didn't become champ. But those stories don't exist anymore. You know why?
Why?
Because they didn't fight before. They didn't have amateur fights when they went to jail. They weren't amateur fighters, but they knew how to fight because they fought on the street and they fought in the schoolyards. Today, they just shoot your ass, so you go to the prison, you come out, you don't have any amateur fights, and you don't have any street fight experience, so you have no experience at all.
And you're just soft.
Correct. And you have no experience, no knowledge. I've always said, instinct is a survival of man's ultimate instinct. And if you can't defend yourself, you don't know how to fight, you're in trouble. It doesn't matter what it is. You could be sitting in corporate America in a boardroom, and if you don't know how to fight, you're in trouble. Because I know one thing, I'm not letting some guy bulldoze me with bullshit. I'm standing up for myself. Okay? These people today were a soft era of people. I told you about a friend of mine that was in jail for 17 years in jail, 12 years. Okay? Everybody, that was in 1997, he went to jail. Okay? I got out in 99. You know, okay? Today, not him, but in the same situation, somebody else, they ran on somebody. It's a soft generation of people. Why is it soft? Because we've got welfare, we've got food stamps today, we've got all kinds of reasons why people don't have to go out and hustle up a buck anymore. Okay? It's a fact. And if they're hustling up a buck, a lot of time it's illegal.
We had the No Child Left Behind Act, which was enforced when I was in grade school.
It's a combination of all these things. People are soft today. Another thing you said, or you did earlier, they grew up in one-parent household with the mother. That's why I love that story about Terrence Crawford. His mother offered people $10 to try to beat up her son. I thought it was unbelievable. You know? Just a shame the woman wasn't a little better looking. Jesus.
Yeah.
Hey, but in the meantime, it was a great story. It just, that's the way life used to be. It's different today. I'm gonna tell you something else. Okay?
Okay.
You obviously didn't grow up in an area of racketeers, let's just say. Not a lot. You know, they came and gone in the winter time in Florida. The racketeers, you know, the northeastern racketeers, as we'll call them. I'll say we're away from the word mafia and mobsters.
Yeah.
We'll call racketeers. Back then, in the 50s, the 60s, up to about 75, everybody went out. They left the house to go have lunch. They wore a suit and a tie, and they looked like they were going to court. They looked like they were going to church. They were just going to go out and have lunch. Today, I went to a big meeting last week in Washington, D.C. A top executive. First time I wore a pair of jeans. And the guy, I apologized. You know what the guy said? Forget about it. I'm just glad you're here. Come on. It's a different era. Everything is different about today than it was years ago. There's nothing in the same. Here's another thing that's different. And this is why boxing is different in the mentality of the fighter. I remember when I started dating girls, when I was in high school, junior high school, I'd say, I'd like to go out with you, but of course, if you say it's all right, I want to ask your father and mother. Okay? If it's all right. Could you imagine that happening today?
Yeah, I didn't do that.
But you already passed that era.
Yeah.
You already passed that era. Okay? Because it already had passed you. That formality had passed you by. You know how many times that are going down with the barrel Well, you can go out as long as you have her home by 10 o'clock. 9 o'clock on weeknights, and 10 o'clock on 10 or 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock on Fridays, and so 10 o'clock on Saturday. Well, sir, I'll come 10 o'clock. Well, because you got to get up for church the next morning. Come on now, okay? Now look how much the Catholic Church has failed themselves and failed society. I mean, it's rampant with molesters and gay priests bonding the little boys. We didn't have that problem years ago. It was out public. It was going out. We sure didn't know about it. Now look at it today. Morality is gone from society. But you imagine 30 years ago, President Trump getting elected president of the United States 30 years ago?
Absolutely not.
God. Thank you. Could you imagine 30 years ago, Jesse Ventura getting elected governor of Minnesota?
No.
Arnold Schwarzenegger in California being elected, it was possible 30 years ago. That I'll go along with. But I won't go along with Jesse Ventura in Minnesota, and I won't go along with Trump as president. But America, in another way, has come a long way. Why? We had a black president. Okay? And he not only won 4 years, he
got 2 terms. He got 2 terms.
Got 2 terms, correct. So society, in one way, has become more liberal and more open. But the flip side is, okay, the morality part sucks. Okay? It really does. It really does. I mean, just the way it is. And it's reflected on how the fighters fight today. They get disqualified more than they ever did. They quit like dogs. They get hit with a body shot to roll around all fours like dogs. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, even De La Hoya, when it's hit with one body shot with Bernard Hopkins, went down like he shot, was falling around like a dog. Please, would you imagine that happening to somebody else? One of the Arab great fighters 20 years before that. Please.
Yeah.
Please. Continue. Next question.
Next question. Man, okay. Man, this is some great stuff, Rick. Let's see.
I would go if I would you, because I don't want to bore anybody for 2 hours, 3 hours.
No, I'm gonna chop it up. I'll have the full version, but I'm gonna chop up segments as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
So people.
Keep going.
Okay. Who like of all the top promoters in boxing, who do you think is doing the best job right now of all the top promoters?
Well, you'd have to say tied for first place would be Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn.
Okay.
I would. Aron's working with 2 big advantages over Eddie Hearn. Okay, first of all, is he's got a much better staff. I mean, Aron's got a top staff. Okay, I mean, between not even counting Todd the Buff, his stepson.
The top matchmaker.
Okay. You got Brad Jacobs. You've got Bruce Trampler, Brad Goodman. Even throw in Carl Moretti there. I mean, that staff blows Eddie Hearn's staff away. Okay, so Arum is working with a big advantage there. Here's where Arum is working with a big advantage also. Okay, Eddie Hearn does not have fighter mentality. Okay, at all. Bob Arum has fighter mentality, even though he's never been a fighter, just like I do. And that makes him ultimately way more knowledgeable and knows what he's watching. Eddie Hearn is not that kind of guy. Eddie Hearn is not that kind of guy at all. Eddie Hearn does not have fighter mentality, and listen. How can he have fighter mentality when he paid Jesse Vargas $1.3 million to fight Thomas Delorme?
Oh man.
Please.
That's how much he got. I didn't look at the first for that fight. That's how much he got to fight Thomas Delorme.
$1.3 million.
Oh man.
Okay. So you want to hear the funny moment of the year?
Go ahead.
Funny moment of the year. Top Rank announces that Joe Parker is fighting, what's his name?
Brian Jennings. Remember that.
Brian Jennings, right? And I put it up on Facebook, and it wasn't happening. And Brian Jennings was going to, Joe Parker was going to fight Dillian White. So Top Rank thought it was funny. Somebody told Top Rank, the next day they called me up. I do business with Top Rank on a regular basis. They called me up. They want to know how you do that. I said, how did I know that? I said, it wasn't a rumor. So how do you know? I said, I know the guy who took him to the airport. In New Zealand. What do you mean? I said, he took him to the airport. He said, you're kidding me. I said, no. How do you know? I said, I know. The guy that took him to the airport is a Facebook friend of mine, and he told me. He took him to the airport. He told me he was going to London. He's going to go there to sign the papers and do the press conference with Dillian White. Maverick didn't believe it when I put it on Facebook. The next day, he said, how did you know that?
It must have been fuming.
Well, they couldn't have been mad at me because I had nothing to do with it, but I knew about it.
Yeah.
I told him. But I actually had told him, too. I had put it on Facebook, and then somebody called me, oh, it's not true. We got him. I said, no, see. How did you know that? Well, how did I know that? I know the guy that took him to the airport. So, it's just, you know what? You got to have your connections. You got to have your outlets. And, you know, you just piece everything together. It's all you can do. You know, like the guy, why would the guy call me up and tell me that that's true if it wasn't true? Come on now. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason to lie about it.
Yeah.
But what? So about Arum and Eddie Hearn, going back to that. Yeah, I mean, they're both on top of the game right now. It's not even a question. You know, fueled by, the one's fueled by DAZN, one's fueled by the ESPN platforms, and, you know, they're the king of, as I call them, the king of rock and roll right now. They're making it all happen. They're the biggest, the baddest.
Absolutely. Eddie Hearn, especially with that whole Canelo deal, and I know it wasn't squarely just Eddie Hearn, but I'm saying he played a role.
I'm going to clear that deal for you.
Okay, do that.
It had zero to do with Eddie Hearn. Matter of fact, this is what happened. I know the whole story, everything about it. Eddie Hearn, Oscar Gomez called up Eddie Hearn to do a Rocky Fury. So what TV HBO is going out? He says, we don't know yet. He offered him the fight on his own. They went to John Skipper, because who runs the zone, he used to run ESPN, because once they had a relationship, Oscar had a prior relationship with John Skipper. They bypassed Eddie Hearn, and they made their own deal. Eddie Hearn had nothing to do with that deal. He only supplied the fighter for the title fight, and then offered him the TV, how to do the TV, blah, blah, blah. And they went directly to Skipper and got this long-term deal for 5 years and 11 fights for Canelo and another 10 fights a year for other shit. They're getting one show a month. Okay? That's what happened. It's nothing to do with Eddie Hearn. Okay? Zero.
All right, Alex. I'm glad you cleared that up. But I'm just saying, like, Eddie's doing a great job with Anthony Joshua. Like, I like what he's really done with him as far as taking him.
Listen, absolutely. Not even a question. Eddie Hearn is an excellent promoter as far as getting PR, making good matches and stuff like that.
I think he's the best to me. Right now, I think he's number one for me personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll buy that. You know, I'll definitely buy that. But in the meantime, he's also in a country that boxing is number 2 behind soccer in the United States. Everyone's got a big handicap.
That's true. That's a good point. That's fair.
I mean, listen, we got football, okay? We got basketball, Major League Baseball, hockey, MMA.
College football, college basketball.
And wait, you forgot the biggest one of all besides the NFL, NASCAR.
Oh, NASCAR.
No, why are you laughing?
I don't know, cause like I don't know. I know NASCAR is big, but it's not like big. It's not big where I'm from, so it's hard for me to fathom NASCAR. But I understand it is a big sport.
Their TV rights billion right now. Well, all of boxing doesn't have $2.7 billion. The NFL has only a touch more than that per year.
Yeah, so I guess I'm sleeping on NASCAR.
Correct. They have 200,000 people in Daytona. When was the last time that they had 200,000 for a football game?
Never.
Exactly. You're because you're not into it, you're not understanding it.
Yeah. Well, it's no different than people who don't watch boxing and they say boxing is dead.
Right. Correct. Okay, boxing is super hot. Okay, exactly. Okay, one of the reasons why boxing is hot now, I'm going to explain to you the multiple reasons why it's hot. Because, first of all, it's cheaper programming on a Saturday night on Showtime or it was on HBO. Okay, than doing a original production movie for $30 or $40 million. They can do a boxing event for $1 million to $5 million. Okay?
Yeah.
That's number two is, here's the other reason why it's hot. Because they're going to legalize gambling everywhere. The federal government has now legalized gambling. Okay? You're going to be able to bet in every state pretty soon, or almost every state. I mean, you might not be able to bet in like Ohio or like Wyoming or something like that, but all the big states are going to have legalized gambling. You're going to be able to telephone your bets in, you're going to be able to bet on the internet, and you're going to be able to bet on everything. The interactive betting right there. That's what's going to come to be. But everybody, all the TV execs know it, all the app execs know it. That's why another reason why it's going to be hot. Okay? Here's the third reason why it's going to be hot, okay? Because as the generation of MMA people get older, remember this: the current MMA people were fake wrestling fans. I call them fake wrestling, or WWE, or what is it called?
WWE. You got it right.
They went from WWE. And then when they're in their teens and they're in their early years like that, then they go to MMA. And as they get older, they hit 40, they're going to go to boxing. Okay? They're going to switch to boxing. It's going to be a natural progression. Just like your music change, where you were in the hardcore rap, then you're in the hip hop, the softer hip hop, and now you're going to be, I'm in the stage, I'm in the Frank Sinatra, for Christ's sake. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
So, I started out with Led Zeppelin, Jethro Tull, and the Rolling Stones, and then I went on to let's say Green Day and U2. And now I'm listening to Frank Sinatra and that kind of music. So just like your music taste change, your combat sports change, you're going to change. And the people that are hitting 40 are going to go switch over to boxing from MMA. I'm not saying they're not going to watch MMA, but they're going to get more interested in boxing as they get older.
Yeah, it's almost like as you get older, your taste palettes change. Like 4 years ago, I would never have grilled onions on my cheeseburger, but now I get grilled onions on my cheeseburger.
Correct.
Yeah.
Just like 10 years ago, I had 2 sausages sandwiches. Now I have a half a sausage sandwich.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the same thing. So that's happening. And here's the other reason why it's happening with boxing, because it's action. Okay, it can end in any split second. Where when you were doing for TV commercials and you were vying for TV space on networks, it was no good because you plan for 1 minute in between rounds, and you plan for 12 rounds, and ends in 1 or 2 or 3 rounds, and then you can't run all those other commercials. Well, if they're doing it on premium cable, okay, or they're doing it on apps, it doesn't give them that. Nobody gives a shit. Fact.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why. Okay, and here's the last reason why. It's a little cheaper to buy boxing than it is NASCAR, Major League Baseball, the NBA, or hockey, or NFL, obviously the NFL. A lot cheaper programming. You agree?
I would say so because the NFL the NBA, and pretty much every major league sports league, they have players unions, and then they usually negotiate for higher amounts of money.
Correct. Absolutely. So those are some of the reasons why it's hot. That's why it's going to be hot. You know. So what I asked about any fights coming up?
Any fights? Yeah. Well, let's run through them. We got what do you think about Bellew versus Usyk? I know that's a fight that's coming up.
Exactly. Usyk wins easy. Bellew can punch, but it's a different league. It's a different league. He's too fat and nimble on his feet for a guy like Bellew. Bellew's a plotting fighter who will come forward and play. It'll be like Glaser, the cruiserweight that he won the the World Boxing Series championship from. It'll be like that identical fight all over again. And Usyk knows it. That's why he's going over there. He doesn't give, he don't care. He knows it. He knows it.
Okay.
Pretty one-sided. Want to know the truth. A great walkout payday for Tony Bellew if he decides to call it a day.
I think this will be. I think win, lose, or draw. It's going to be his last fight. Yeah.
There you go. I'll buy that.
Okay. What did you make of the? I think it was announced. I don't know if it was announced yesterday, but I know it was announced recently. The Charlos, both of them are going to be back in action. You got Jermall Charlo fighting Willie Monroe Jr., and you got Jermell fighting Tony Harrison.
Complete jokes. First of all, Tony Harrison was supposed to be a prodigy, great fighter coming out of the amateurs, and he never developed. He's a third-level fighter. Okay, Willie Monroe is a known failure. Okay? Why? What is the purpose of these fights? Will anybody in America stay home to watch the Charlo brothers because they're fighting these two guys?
I would definitely say no. No, they're not going to do that. I do think the Jermell Charlo Harrison fight's made intriguing. I think Tony Harrison could give a good account of himself, and
he's got no stamina. Harrison's got no stamina whatsoever. He uses a lot of nervous energy. He's not a relaxed guy, but he uses a lot of stamina, and he's going to get wore out quick because he's afraid of Charlo's punching power. He's going to use up that nervous energy even quicker, and he's going to get toasted and roasted. And I don't have a great opinion of the Charlo brothers. I don't care, but these guys are two guys that shouldn't even be in world title fights.
yeah. So you're not buying the hype because I know people who many people would say are respected members of the boxing media who think Jermall Charlo is the most talented middleweight in the world.
Why does he keep fighting homo after homo?
I mean, that's what I wonder. I'm not gonna lie. I've kind of grown to like the Charlos. I liked them at first. I like them a little more than I used to, but I would like to see them step it up in opposition for sure.
Listen, do they have to both play with no hopers? At least put one of them in with a fucking real fighter.
Yeah. Well, what kind of fighters would you put if you were managing their careers? What kind of fighters would you put the Charlos in there with? Like what kind of fighters? Like who? Is there a name that comes to mind?
Not off the top of my head. I have to look at the rated guys, but he's not going to put any fighters.
Okay. Politics aside, maybe what if you put like Jermall Charlo in there with someone like a Rob Brandt who just beat Murata?
Well, you don't see him jumping up and down to make that fight.
Yeah, they're not gonna be that. That's low. That's high risk, low reward all over it.
Right. Listen, there's nothing out there that surprises me with Heyman. Just when you think he's hit an all-time low as far as bullshit matches, he comes up with new bullshit matches.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Al Heyman guy myself, but I was gonna ask you. You've been in boxing for a long time, so I want to actually ask you this: have you ever met Al Heyman?
Yes, I am.
Okay, can you please tell me first of all what is Al Heyman actually like? Because he's like a mythical character to those of us who aren't directly involved in the boxing business.
He's a creep. I'll leave it like that. He's a complete creep.
Really?
Okay? Absolutely.
His fighters really seem to like him.
Well, if you were getting paid big money to fight bullshit matches, they would like you too.
That's true.
But they're faking Al Heyman. You know what they're really saying? Al, you paid me way too much for fighting the hobo. Thank you, Al.
Yeah, thank you, Al Heyman. That's the saying.
Come on. It's bullshit. It's a fraud. He's the ruination of boxing. I've said it for years.
The ruination of boxing. Okay, well, I want you to, Rick, if you could kindly do so, because on YouTube and what we call the YouTube boxing community, there's a lot of people who actually are strong Al Heyman advocates. I don't know why, but they are. Could you break down why, as simple as possible, why you think Al Heyman is what you say the ruination of boxing? Could you break that down?
Absolutely. I'll give you multiple examples if you want, but I'll start out with one example.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. June 1980.
Oh, taking it back.
June of 1980, Roberto Duran fights Sugar Ray Leonard.
Okay.
Why did they fight each other? Do you know what the reason was?
I'm not really sure. It was the biggest fight that could be made.
Ray Leonard's biggest purse before that night was $2 million. He got $10 million to fight Duran, which is 5 times the amount that he ever made in his career. Roberto Duran never made over $250,000 in a fight. He got $2 million for the fight. And if he won, he was promised $10 million for the rematch. And if Leonard lost, he was promised $10 million for the rematch. Now, you see why they fought?
Yeah, made sense. Made business sense.
Okay. Heyman, on the other hand, is giving guys $2.5 and $3 million for $500,000 to $750,000 fights, $400,000 fights. I ain't giving them $2.5, $3 million. Thurman, Garcia, Porter, all these guys. Okay, Spence, all these guys. Now, okay, how are they gonna possibly make? How are you possibly gonna make Spence and Thurman when Thurman wants $2.5 million to fight a hobo? How much he's gonna want to fight? Because he's he's already getting $2.5 million to fight hobos. You know why Thurman didn't really fight? Because when Al Heyman ran out of money from PBC, he was offering $500,000 for fights he used to get $2.5 million for.
And he said no. He said, I'm not having it.
No. Correct. Okay, and Heyman couldn't come to terms. So well, guess what? In the meantime, that's why Heyman's ruination of boxing, because he's giving people millions for fights they should be getting paid $500,000 or $750,000, $600,000 for. He's paid $1 million. So when the real fights come along, he can't pay him all that big money because there's not that much more money there. There's no more paid to start with.
Yeah, and it's just a very from my perspective, it's a very unsustainable business model because he got what was it, in excess of $500 million plus from Waddell and Reed, ran through the money.
He ran through $550 million in 30 months. But let's forget about that for a moment.
Okay, well, I've gone to my fair share of PBC events, and like a lot of times they don't even really sell tickets to the events. They just paper the events, like they just give tickets away.
They pay for the whole thing. They pay for all. If you buy a show, the joke is in the ticket business. If you buy a ticket to a PBC event, you're a schmuck. Okay, you're giving them away. Now don't forget, Mayweather is not PBC. Remember that. Mayweather shows that when he fights, we're going to PBC, and Mayweather made that clear consistently. You know that, right? I'm
very aware of that.
Okay, let me continue. So now you're paying these guys $2.5 million. Now how are they going to get $12.5 million to fight a risky fight 5 times the amount, or 8 times the amount Duran got? Can't happen.
Yeah.
Because those fights are not commercially viable. That's why very, 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 very hard for these guys to make these fights with one another because there's no more, very little more money. They could maybe pay him another $500,000 to fight somebody real as they were to fight a Steph. That's why these guys are taking a risk. That's why it's thank you, Al Heyman. Come on. I mean, he's the nation of boxing.
I feel.
Did you see my Facebook post today?
I did not. Well, what did it say?
I'm gonna read it to you.
Okay, read it. Yeah, read it.
I won't read it to you, but it's all about Mr. Heyman and his bag of tricks. Hold on, let me get this thing up there.
I'm reading it right now. Actually, you posted it 18 hours ago.
Okay, put it away.
It said. It says the following. It says, Bob Arum calling Al Heyman the cancer and the cancer on boxing. I have always referred to Al Heyman as an obstructionist because that's what Heyman really is. No fights for Earl Spence or Tank Davis, but Heyman not interested in Crawford versus Spence that Arum is actively looking to do. And Eddie Hearn in the last 3 days offered Heyman and Mayweather Tank Davis versus Tevin Farmer on DAZN, and Mayweather responded with, we're not interested, because Heyman and Mayweather aren't interested because Tank would fight Farmer in a New York second. The Charlo brothers self-proclaimed lions, but they are fighting two guys that no one wants to see and can't win. Willie Monroe and Tony Harrison in a doubleheader in December. When are the Charlos going to fight real fighters in real fights? Arum gave boxing fans Pacquiao on basic cable, ESPN, and the $5 a month ESPN Plus app in his last two fights. Now Pacquiao does a deal with Heyman, and Pacquiao is now fighting Adrian Broner on Showtime pay-per-view for probably $75. Who's going to buy that bullshit for $75? But everyone continues to criticize Arum. Get the blinders off. You should be criticizing Al Heyman. Listen, Arum isn't running a benevolent organization. He's about business. But the business Arum has in mind makes sense for everyone. Why do you think Al Heyman doesn't ever talk to the media and ever grant any interviews? Because Heyman doesn't want to answer the hard but obvious questions the media would ask. On the other hand, Arum talks to the media daily, but you Heymanites will continue to criticize Arum. But in truth, you should look at your leader, because Heyman is the root of all I just wrote. Heyman stops fights from happening that fans really want to see, and Heyman does it daily. That's why Al Heyman is the ultimate obstructionist, and if you can't see that, you need a reality check. That was it.
Did I say anything that was wrong?
I don't see really anything that I would disagree with, because nobody's gonna watch. Like, people aren't clamoring for the Charlo's next fights like that, and Pacquiao's gonna be fighting on pay-per-view. That's a fact. So yeah, I don't see any problems.
Yeah, remember this: the first fight out of the box was being fought on free ESPN. Okay, and then the second fight went to the app. Okay, but it was $5 for the bump. They wanted $75, $80 for that event. $79.95 for that event. Guess what?
What?
This is why they're nation of boxing. This is the reason why.
Yeah.
Because a typical level. I mean, there's not even a question about it in my mind. Sad.
It really, yeah, it is. But you know, hopefully now, I mean, for me personally, hopefully with like DAZN, ESPN Plus, I feel like it's good for boxing to have healthy competition. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Okay. And I have to agree with you.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying to you is, look at the comparison with Arum. Arum's a public figure. He talks to media daily. He turns down no interviews. He doesn't deny people credentials. Look, if you don't like them about the PPC, they deny you press credentials.
Oh. I mean, I haven't really had. Actually, yeah, they do. But I mean, I've had my fair share of success with PBC and press credentials in the past, so I don't want to completely be unfair. But yeah, they are known to do that. Yeah, they are known to do that. So.
Well, they try to stifle the press of writing the truth. What they try
Yeah, they don't want anybody in there. Like, well, I'll give you an example. So I've been covering boxing regularly on YouTube for like 3 years, and I've only gotten into PBC shows when I go for somebody else that's cool with PBC. But I've never got accepted to a PBC show under my own channel because I usually talk a lot. I usually say what I believe to be true, and it's not pro PBC. So I never get in on my own under my own banner. I get under somebody else usually.
Okay, well, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So continue.
I'll continue.
What else you want to talk about? Come on now.
What do you think? What do you think about women's boxing?
I haven't participated in any way, shape, or form. I don't enjoy it, and I have no use for it. And I think that says it all right there.
Yeah, because I know there's like I mean, they had like it's a little more covered these days, and they're trying to push it forward, but I think they're gonna have a hard time doing it just because there's like the pool of talent in women's boxing is so thin. It's not even funny.
Yeah, but not only that is, you know, my own wife thinks it's disgusting. You know what I mean? You know, women want to watch it. They think it's great. You know what I mean? It's all good, but it's not like that. It sucks.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Most women don't even like women's boxing. Like my ex-girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend who I used to watch boxing with all the time. I showed her a couple of women's fights, and she was like, "Oh, well, no, I don't want to watch Clarissa Shields. I'd rather go watch Sergey Kovalev or whatever, you know, Triple G or Terrence Crawford."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, that's what you're dealing with right there. You said it in a nutshell, you know.
Yeah. So
tell me, what else you want to ask me? Anybody else? You want to ask me about anybody else?
let me see anything else. I'm trying to think. What do you think about like aside from the champions at heavyweight? Like, is there anybody else that you like that you think is a quality fighter? Like maybe like Joe Joyce or Jarrell Miller or guys like that. Dillian White. No.
Dillian White, yeah. Dillian White's good. Dillian White can fight. The rest of them, I don't think much of, no.
Yeah.
No, I don't think much of the other ones. That's my personal opinion. No, I just don't think it's there for some of these guys. I think some of them are good fighters and they'll make good fights and stuff like that. But come on, Miller to me is way overrated.
Yeah, I mean, I actually know Jarrell. I think he has a good work rate, but outside of that, he doesn't have any elite power or anything like that. Good footwork, solid work rate, but no crazy power.
He's just a guy.
Yeah.
Just a guy. You know, seems to have a decent chin, but he's never been able to punch her yet. We'll see when he gets hit by Joshua.
Or even if they put him in there with a guy like Dillian White, even that'd be an interesting fight.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's true. That's an excellent fight. Yeah, I don't think he beats those kind of guys. Dillian White's the rule. I don't know if he beats Derek Chisora. I don't know if he beats him.
That'd be a great fight. I'd actually like to see that because Derek Chisora always, for the most part, if you match him perfectly, if you match him right, he makes the fights exciting. He comes to fight, so I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's good. So, what's next? Tell me some more questions. We got, let's see. I want to go to bed at 2 o'clock. So, fire away.
Okay. All right, fire away. What do you think about let me see. I'm trying to think. Who do you think is going to win the 140-pound World Boxing Super Series? I know you got like Josh Taylor, Regis Prograis.
I would say Taylor or Prograis. I'm not high on Prograis, but he's a good puncher. But Taylor's good. I think Taylor can win. You know, Josh Prograis can win. Those are probably the only two.
Yeah.
You know, I think Lewis wins the bantamweights, and I think Jordan Bush wins the cruiserweights.
Yeah. I like Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor's like a long, rangy boxer puncher. I've been high on him ever since. The first time I saw him fight, he fought on the undercard of think it was James DeGale Badu Jack. He fought some random no-namer, but I liked what I saw, and I've been following ever since, and I've liked what I've seen.
He's got a good shot. Yeah. But I like Doritos, the cruisers, and the bottoms. I like the Nui.
Yeah. Anui, or I pronounce it Anoye. I'm not really sure what the correct pronunciation is, but the monster. He's a fantastic fighter. One fight I wish that would have happened was I really wanted to see him fight Romo Gonzalez when they were both at when he was at flyweight or 115.
He would have kicked the shit out of it. I knew he would have kicked. He's too fast for him.
You think so? Well, Romo Gonzalez post Rung Vasai. Yeah, I think he would have defeated Roman Gonzalez. But if they would have fought like maybe, because I know Roman, he could have fought Roman when Roman was at flyweight, because Anoye started off at 108, and then I remember he jumped up from 108 to 115, and he bypassed Roman when he was early in his career.
I just think it's too fast for Gonzalez.
Yeah.
And foot speed. That's what I think.
Okay. Yeah, that to me that was like the fight for a while that I really wanted to see. Cause I'm actually personally I'm a massive Romo Gonzalez fan. I like watching him fight.
I agree.
Yeah, I went to his fight. I went to his fight when he fought Carlos Cuadras at the Forum. That was a fantastic fight to be at.
Yeah. Yeah. The crowd was going crazy.
It was. It was like half the crowd was Mexican, the other half was Nicaraguan fans. And, it was 9,000 people, but it felt like 80,000 people. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was a really exciting fight. The fight was exciting, the crowd was excited. It was exciting, so it was made for a great evening of vibes.
Oh, I finally remember what I wanted to ask you. I've been meaning to ask you this for like the last 20 minutes, but I keep forgetting. Well, do you think, is there any truth to this whole Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence fight? Like, I think it's complete BS. What do you think, Rick?
Except for the idea of there to be great, okay? Why would Garcia fight Earl Spence to jump up basically 2 weight classes? He's a 35-pound champ. He was a 40-pound champ for a while, went down, back and down in weight. Now he's going to jump up all the way from 35 to 47. Mikey's never shown that kind of gumption in his life. Why now?
That's what I'm saying. He's a con. To me, he's a big con artist. I mean, he's a talented fighter. I like him, but I just don't think he has the right mentality. Like we talked about mentality earlier.
He's not a con artist. He's full of shit. He's a con artist. He'd be a fraud as a fighter. He's not a fraud as a fighter. Okay, and he's not a fraud as a human being. He's just full of shit.
Yeah.
And I don't see it happening. Why would it happen?
He won't even fight Lomachenko.
That's what I'm saying too. Who's not a puncher?
Yeah. So why the hell is he gonna go fight the most devastating body puncher of the welterweight division?
Makes no sense at all. So when something makes no sense, it normally doesn't happen.
Especially in boxing.
Right. No, please, for sure, right?
Yeah. Do you think I mean not that it's like a massively important fight, but it's still, they're two names. Do you ever think that Amir Khan versus Kell Brook will ever happen?
I don't know. You know what? I think that Amir Khan is a puke as a human being.
Yeah.
I think.
Have you met him before?
Yes.
Okay.
In Vegas. I didn't say he wasn't a nice guy, but I think as a human being, he's a puke. Okay? And I look at it this way. Kell Brook would fight a lawnmower if he would fight a lawnmower and an alligator the same night if he thought he was going to get paid.
That's true.
Get paid the right amount of money. The other guy, all he does is shoot wants to fight this guy and that guy. There's no reason. Who gives a shit about this guy? Nobody cares in the fight. He means nothing over here. He only means something over there. And I fight with Kell Brook. He should go take the Kell Brook fight, and he might beat Kell Brook because we don't know what Kell Brook's got left.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Probably shot.
I still think Kell Brook will beat him, but if they fight at 147 and Kell has to cut that weight, then it's going to be a very difficult job for Cowboy to get done.
That's correct.
Because he's been draining, he's been killing himself to make that weight for years now, and he should have been moved up to 154 like a couple years ago. He would have saved himself a lot of trouble.
Listen, I'm going to give you one example.
Okay.
I'm going to give you one example of what a mere con is all about.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay? He gets knocked out by Brandis, what's the name?
Breedis Prescott.
Brandon Prescott, but he gets the shit beat out of him by Madonna, but stands up. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Madonna did not lose that fight. Madonna won that fight. Got robbed. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
He was not. He could have been humble in a victory that he didn't deserve. And in the meantime, he wasn't even humble, and when he got the shit beat out of him. Okay? It just sets me the wrong way for the guy. It's a bad tone. You understand? It's not only what you say. Sometimes it's not what you say, what you don't say. In the meantime, the guy can't keep his mouth shut. The guy's lucky to survive the fight, got the shit wheeled out of him, and he got Canada gift decision.
I mean, he got pieced up. He got destroyed by Danny Garcia in a fight that he was favored to win.
A huge favorite. Hit on the chin all my night. The guy just go away already. Why ain't over anymore? We don't need him over here. All he does is want to complain and cry. This Mayweather won't fight him, and this guy won't fight him. No, Canelo fought him and got laid out. I mean, please. He looked like he was a dead man in a casket.
Yeah. I thought he was dead for a couple. For a brief moment, I thought he was dead. I'm like, man, I hope he gets up, man.
Listen, I'm gonna close the night for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Nothing to do with boxing. Personal story that I tell people when they go out, and I want them to get to know me a lot better, my state of mind, a little wit, a little quick talk, and everything else. You ready?
I'm ready. Go lay it on me.
So, 1982, I go out with two guys for dinner. They both play golf together. And they run into two guys, they play golf together by accident at this bar, at this restaurant. So we sat down and the 5-hour date together. Well, the two guys are talking about, that I didn't know, they were talking about some girl. Her name was Janelle, which was a very uncommon name back then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it turns out that she had, quote, an easy reputation. And she was supposed to be tall, gorgeous, voluptuous, and everything else. 22 years old, and had her own apartment. I was 24 at the time. And I said, gee, I wonder who this girl is, because we were all from the same neighborhood, even though I didn't know these two guys. So one went to a private school, and we were out of school then, but they had gone to a private school, they were gone to a Catholic school. So I didn't know these two guys, but I didn't know the girl. But I was at the mall about 2 weeks later. They had probably 6 women, and the mall had just closed up the stores, and I had eaten at the restaurant there. I turn around the bar, and these women come up, they're ordering wine and cocktails, and they're ordering appetizers, and I turn around to those 6 ladies, and they're all beautiful. And I said,